So we start taking on other folks' notions. The control of the modes of production is arrangement. But the most critical area of colonialization, area of rearrangement, is the reformation of the mind. The reformation of the mind. You replace a people's life essence in the ability to tap into that life essence when you control how they think about themselves. And all this stuff is not accidental. All these imaging about black people is not accidental. It's tied to this rearrangement. It's tied to this notion of the Ma'afa. Every time they talk about imaging of black people, Live at 5, cops, police in action, what do you see? You see black folk in this steamy side of life. You see these imaging that are subliminal, that are tied to the invalidation of what it is to be a human being. The drug buster, the drug is knocked down and the lights are flashing all over and making little sort of zoom in and stuff, and black people are scurrying like roaches. Scurrying like roaches. That stuff is that. How much tape was on the floor, the cutting room floor, before they got that 1 3-second scene? You see, there's a whole lot of tape on the floor, but we don't see that. We see the 3-second scene that gives us the subliminal message that we respond to, like roaches running away from light, the light of day. That's part of this ma'afa. That's part of this notion of the rearrangement, to rearrange our minds. It's systematic.
Oh, good day,
and
family.
And education has to counter that as well as
what makes us human, Dr. Wade Nobles. I just saw his video, and it's 3 hours long. Yeah, I'm going to have to correct that, because when I be watching something, we can't go on and watch it, because this video, his lecture is 3 hours long. I'll finish it. What makes us human, Dr. Wade Nobles, on spirituality and cultural identity. He's a powerful brother, too. And this is on the Transatlantic Production. I think I must be, Transatlantic Productions. That's the name of the channel. We're reading tonight, 100 Years of Lynching. I ain't even going to open the channel. I'm just going to get these fundamentals out the way. It's good to see you, family. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. Well, we're going to read tonight. I just been thinking about John Pendleton and Richard Coleman and Elijah Clark. There's so many names in this book right here. And they all want to be remembered. And we're going to read their names too. Oh, good day, Princess. How you doing? It's so good to see you. I don't think I've seen your name before, but welcome. You are welcome and invited to sit in until you feel like you have to leave and stuff. And that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. There's enough of us out here teaching the truth that, we don't have to feel like people have to stay on our channel, on one channel and stuff, because I be on everybody's channel. Sometimes I don't even get to finish someone's video before another one is in the suggestions. And I done went to that. I have a couple of videos. I got to go back and finish them. And sister had told me about the pastor. I did a little research on his video. I got to go back and finish that. That was in the old apartment, 2 months ago. And now it's in one of these boxes, but it's just, I don't know if that's called multitasking, probably like distraction, because I'll end up, doing something else. Watching something else, taking notes on something else. And it's okay, because I try to get back and finish those other beginnings too. But it's good to see y'all. We're going to read tonight. I don't know how long, because this book is not in chapters. It's more or less newspaper clippings. And so we just going to read till we don't read no more tonight. But it's good to see y'all. Let's see if we need some more light. I probably will when I get to read. I didn't bring the that shade to this lamp because I never use it. I hope that's okay right there. Yeah. And we are on Bolden Unchained. I'm Face the Nation. Y'all my peoples. You my peoples. I'm Face the Nation. We on Bolden Unchained. And we're here to assist Black America and Black media. That's why we're here. I'm looking through a spiritual lens. I'm not religious, y'all. I thought I was religious too, just like y'all, but I'm not religious. I'm thankful. I'm glad I'm not religious because I couldn't. I don't think I could stand it if I was and feel like I have to forgive what was done to my people. And that's what I'm all about, my people. I ain't about nobody else's people. I hope everybody else can heal their people. I hope everybody else can heal their people. I hope they're trying to make an effort to heal their people because that's the only reason I'm here, to heal my people, to talk to my people, let my people know what's really going on out here that we have no idea about. That's why I'm here. I ain't here for nobody else. No, I'm not here for all that. I don't even think I get to the point where like it, share it, and all of that. I don't even know if I'll even get to that point of feeling like that about this. I just want us to know. I just want us to know what's going on, Black America. Because we ain't never been this bad on us, this bad off. I don't see no way out of it if we don't come together, if we don't start teaching us what we need to know. If we don't get serious about our life and our afterlife, the people we've made bonds with, families, businesses, ties. We went all in with people. And now that's not finna be no more. That's not finna be no more. We finna put all our focus, all our energy on us now. On us now. Your friends and your family that ain't your family. They ain't their family. You're going to have to decide where you fit in with them, where they fit in with you, and where y'all fit in with the ancestors. That's just it, and that's all. If you feel like Black America, if you feel like all of your friends is that important, then yeah, you definitely don't want to be here because you're going to have to make that decision. You're going to have to let them know you're making that decision. We can't be turning off Dick Gregory no more. Just because some other people come over, our friends come over, our in-laws come over. We can't be doing that no more. They're going to have to bring their ass back another time. We can't be turning off Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. When our friends come over, somebody come over and they want to kick it and say, no, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going shopping. We ain't going walking and nothing. I'm studying. We're going to have to set some boundaries. This is it. Life as we know it is over for everybody. All groups of people got to do this. Some are already doing it, well on their way to protecting and providing for their people. But us, so that's why I'm here about us. Don't feel like you dividing people prosperity. Don't feel like you dividing people because you finally finna stand up for your ancestors. Because I feel like everybody's ass has been dividing us. That's how I feel. Everybody been dividing us. Everybody been hiding our truth. Been hiding us from us. We don't have no idea. So, I sympathize with all of the mingling and marrying we done did. And procreating we done did with people that's not of our race. To put it frankly, I'm talking about Black people. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it is that we got so many procreations with other groups of people and stuff, and we can't even focus on us as a people collectively. It's been a long time, Black America, since you done gave thought, you done gave attention to what's done happened to our ancestors. It's been a long ass time. And now for the whole world to be on fire, life as we know it is over. It's time for you to wake up. You can't sleep through this apocalypse. And if you continue to ignore our ancestors, that's exactly what you're doing. Sleeping through the apocalypse. Don't sleep through the motherfucking apocalypse too. Now, we done slept through everything because they loved us to sleep. Now it's time to wake up. It's time to motherfucking wake up and build for us. Everybody building for them. Hell, they been building. Shit, I was down there on Lake Street. And I was like, wow, they got their whole little shopping center for blocks. You ain't even got to go to Mall of America no more. Mall of who? You ain't got to go to Northtown Mall no more. You go right on down there Lake Street. Yeah, they got everything up in there. Don't even look like it. It's a mini mall. We got to start doing for us, too. We got to start doing for us, too, Black America. You know, I feel, I be very, into my feelings about us. Not only for myself, because I wasn't paying attention to my people. Hell, I'm 53 years old. I just found out that we really not okay when Trayvon Martin was murdered by George Zimmerman. Until then, hell, I thought I was just fucking up in life. And, you know, I could take my lumps and bumps. I know. I fucked up, made a lot of mistakes and stuff, and I can take that. I can handle that. But this is taking some getting used to. It's taking some processing that I have to do within me and stuff. Because somebody should at least been able to tell us, the forgotten ones, if you will, those that didn't reach the educational pinnacle, those that didn't reach the financial pinnacle, the pinnacle of success, if that's what you want to call it. Because we the main ones that really need to know. We need to know what's going on with us. That's why everybody be sacrificing us and shit, because we don't know nothing. We believe everything everybody telling us and stuff. Everybody believe everything. And it's like white America is just the cleanest, purest, innocent, most generous, forgiving, loving. And they done did some of the hellish shit. I be thinking to myself, can I even read tonight? Can I read? And I know how to read. I know how to comprehend. Y'all know how to read. We know how to read and comprehend. But this right here is like, it's like a literal slaughtering. Just a pack hunting down black men. Just cannibalistic, y'all. But yeah, I know how to read, and we're going to read through all the stuttering and having to go back and read it again and again. Yeah, we're going to read it. That's all I can do is read it and try to find a place within myself where I can kind of, continue to process this, because we got to keep processing this every night. Every day we got to process this. Not only here, what you learn in here, what we learn in here, because I ain't know about none of these either. I didn't know about any of them. And then when you think about the names that they changed, like Sam Hope, his name is Tom Wilkes. It became Sam Hose because the media just, to dehumanize the black man, just take his identity away and just call him anything. Then the media just run with it. This is the media. This book by Ralph Ginsberg, if I'm saying his name right, it's mainly just newspaper clippings. So that's why they so disrespectful in their articles and stuff. They very disrespectful. I thought it was his ass. For a brief moment, I thought that was his ass calling the black men wretches, but it ain't. He's telling how the newspapers printed it and stuff. Let's get the fundamentals out the way. Yeah, we look through a spiritual lens of loyalty, resilience, and education. We finna find out who we loyal to, Black America. We got to. We need to. We ain't gonna never be better. We ain't gonna never get better if we don't face this. We need to know who we loyal to, finally. Before we leave here, we need to teach our people, our children, our babies, our sisters and brothers, neighbors. We need to teach all of us, who are we loyal to? We forgot about our ancestors. We need to learn about the resilience we got in us. See, it ain't no need in us thinking that someone else gonna save us. We gonna save us. We're gonna save us. If we only knew what our people been through, our brothers and fathers and grandfathers and uncles and cousins, what they went through, then maybe we could see that, yeah, we could get through anything that's coming to America. We can get through anything that's coming to America. We ain't had nothing anyway. We still walking without shoes and boots. For all your closet full of shoes. That's what we're doing. But now it's a whole new day. I don't know how it's going to resonate with you. How you going to process it. How you going to deal with it. How you going to move forward. But we got to keep moving forward. I can't stop reading. I can't stop learning. You can't stop learning. We're in the middle of something that's out of our control now. All of this is out of our control. The cosmos is in this now. The cosmos has waken up. The Mother Gaia has waken up. Animals are literally waking up. Yeah, any day now, when them robots hit the street, your dog Butch finna talk to your ass. And you better come and tell us what he say too. When they put them, well, I guess it's gonna be when them robots are normalized. And we just seeing robots down the street and shit like, oh damn, that's the new world, I guess. That's when dogs finna stand up on their two hind legs, finna walk right the fuck in the kitchen, sit on the couch, turn on the TV. Oh yeah. And they finna tell you, now you see what the fuck y'all done did to your people. You see how you done got trapped. They gonna literally ask black people, why you ain't got the fuck away from white folks? Dogs gonna be telling y'all cats, birds. Some of y'all got birds. I had a couple of birds some years ago. It froze though. It was too cold up here. But birds, some birds can talk. Yeah, they got some shit to say to y'all. But let's get us some shout outs out the way because I will forget. I sure will. Good day, Banks Bills. It's nice to see you. Hey there. Hank McGirt. It's a Virginia thing. Chesapeake was before America. Mm-hmm. We always give up too much. Yeah, ain't no more. We ain't giving up nothing else now. Yo, ain't. No, all that shit is over. Everybody gonna have to do for themselves. And they're gonna have to understand that we got to do for ourselves too. This is a book that I got turned on watching an old Muhammad Ali interview. Watching an old Muhammad Ali. This was powerful to we. I love you. I'm here doing this. I am here for it. Thank you, Marcel. Black, aren't there different types of blacks? You think universities don't trace lineage? Without whatever discretion, I have informed you the Mormons are meticulous. Why? It's biblical. There's the lost tribe of Dan. I don't know where black comes from. I have seen white men, not tan, in the sun. They don't burn. Oh, I don't know, honey. What you talking about? And I don't know who them people is either. Sure don't. No, they'll let you know if they resonate with the ancestors or not. Sure will. And the ancestors gonna let them know if they resonate with them or not. I'm not for everybody. Everybody damn sure ain't for me. And everybody sure ain't for my ancestors. So, yeah, all that other stuff, I don't know. I get to it when I get to it. Yeah, I know one thing. Black people better wake up and get the fuck away from white folks. Other groups of people, too, when they come out who's harmed black people, too, get the hell away from their asses, too. Leave everybody with white folks. How about that? Just clear your mind, your life. Leave everybody with white folks. We just be with us. Shit. Copyright disclaimer on the 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses are used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. It's a lot. I'm concerned about my people. That's the only reason I'm here. And a lot of us gonna be left behind. Sure will. All I can say is, hey, ain't nobody coming back for your black ass. Sure ain't. You gonna stay behind with white America and everybody else, and that's where you gonna be at. You're not gonna get fat over there while we is trying to build and put us back together again and heal us, and then run your ass to black America. We're not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more. This is the day you either wake up and decide whose side you on. You got to stand for something. Who you standing for? If you ain't standing for the ancestors, then you're in the wrong place. That's all I got to say for me and my channel. If you ain't standing for the ancestors, you in the wrong place. My ancestors. I ain't talking about nobody, clan ancestors and other groups of people that done had their Holocaust and here. I'm talking about black folks right here. Yep, I don't like all that other stuff. Nope, I sure don't. I barely can't stand it. And so, yeah, we read 100 Years of Lynching. We just began it. I have a hard time some nights coming in here because I don't know who name we gonna see. What's done happened? I can't even cover it, the numbers up. Well, yes, I can. I got some tape right here because, I don't like to be focused on the numbers and stuff because it's really, not all that serious. It's only going to be a few left for my ancestors. Yeah, it's only going to be a few left for my ancestors. And those are the ones that they told me to get on here and find. So, yeah. New York Times, April 27th, 1903. 2 white girls whipped. I think we read that, or maybe we just read the title. Bloomington, Indiana, April 26th. 38 unmasked men broke into a house here early today and whipped Mrs. Rebecca and Ida Stevens, white, age 13 and 16 years old, and also whipped Joe Shively, a Negro, age 57. Yeah, we read this because, they tried to do like, have a roommate or something like that. He was living in the house with them. I don't know. The Negro was whipped with a barbed wire and was hit in the eye with brass knuckles. The older girl was whipped with barbed wire and the younger one with apple switches, but neither is dangerously injured. Many of the assailants were recognized and warrants will be sworn out for their arrest. Motive for the whipping appears to be local objection to a colored boarder living with a white family. New York Herald, June the 8th, 1903. Negro dragged from cell and tortured to death. Belleville, Illinois. Belleville, Belleville, Illinois. Sunday, with the dawn of Sunday, then it's dash. With the dawn of Sunday, the full import of a wild night's work done by a mob of fully 2,000 citizens stood revealed today. David White. My mama married a Wyatt. My mother's married name is Wyatt. W-Y-A-T-T. That's his name, David Wyatt. My stepfather's name was Robert Wyatt. David Wyatt, a Negro school teacher, who made an attempt to assassinate Charles Hertel, H-E-R-T-E-L, Hertel, county superintendent, in his office last evening, had been taken from a supposedly impregnable jail, hanged on a telegraph pole in the center of the public square, and his body burned. David White. 200 men armed with sledgehammers marched up to the jail in the night and attacked the rear doors with vigor. In half an hour, the doors gave way to repeated hammer blows. Wyatt was confined in the lower section of a double tier of cells. The chilled steel bars were cut away with chisels, and when the door swung open, a mighty shout informed the waiting crowd that the Negro was in the hands of his pursuers. Wyatt was 6 feet, 3 inches tall, and of powerful build. He tried to defend himself, but he was doomed to quick death. His head was mashed almost to a pulp before he was dragged out of the cell. A rope was placed about his neck, and the dying Negro was dragged downstairs and into the street. Hundreds of men jumped upon him and literally kicked and tore the bleeding form to shreds. 2 men climbed the telegraph pole. Willing hands tossed up the loose end of the rope, and the battered body of the Negro quickly swung free in the air. Yelling like madmen, the mob surged around the victim. Knives were drawn, and the body was slashed right and left. You can't even make me think that these people are human. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Volunteer runners appeared with cans of benzine and gasoline. Signs and pickets from neighboring fences were tossed into the pyre, and flames shooting as high as the improvised gallows soon enveloped the Negro. All this was done while the mob knew that the Negro's victim was alive and had a fair chance to recover. The excuse given is that the lawless element among the Negroes has been doing all sorts of deviltry, and that it was determined to teach the Negroes a wholesome lesson. Wyatt's crime was provoked by the refusal of Superintendent Hurdle to renew his teaching certificate. The Negro demanded favorable action, and on its refusal, fired one shot at the superintendent while he was sitting at his desk. That's what they say. That's what they say. They always tell us the excuses. What? Yeah. New York Herald, June the 9th, 1903. Ooh, so glad wasn't nobody lynched on my birthday. This the same. This is it explained in racial violence in Kentucky, 1865 to 1940, that newspapers in towns and cities, like in Kentucky, because that whole book was talking about Kentucky, one town would have like 3 or 4 newspapers, and all of the newspapers would compete against each other to get more subscribers and to sell out their newspapers. So they all embellished the story. That's why some of these accounts be if it had more than one newspaper clip and newspaper article. Belleville is complacent over horrible lynching. Belleville, Illinois, Monday. Although the men who lynched David S. Wyatt, the Negro teacher who shot Charles Hertel, county superintendent of schools, on Saturday night, worked without masks for 6 hours in view of hundreds, including all the city and county officials. And although the few men who did the actual killing are known to scores of people, it is unlikely their prosecutions will follow. State Attorney Farmer said today he had not been able to find anybody who would identify any of the lynchers. See, white folk never tell on each other. They never did. They didn't then, and they won't now. At the inquest today, no testimony which would tend to implicate anyone in the lynching could be elicited from the witnesses examined. The coroner's jury declined to wait for the arrival of all the witnesses, and after hearing 10 men, including Mayor Kern, Kern, a verdict that Wyatt met his death at the hands of parties unknown was returned. In the main, Belleville views the lynching and its attendant horrors with complacency. There were strong expressions of condemnation in all the churches yesterday, but many who are accounted leading citizens express approval of the lynching. The men who took part in the disorder believe they are safe. Those who condemn the lynching urge that it could easily have been prevented. Not more than 15 men did the actual work of breaking into the jail and lynching the Negro. No attempt was made to defend the jail. Not a shot was fired. The authorities took no stand. Mayor Kern is understood to have given orders that no shots be fired. State Attorney Farmer resented the suggestion that the mob could have been dispersed by the use of firearms. It is doubtful if a lynching has ever been attended by such remarkable circumstances. The lynchers did not constitute a real mob. The mob spirit was entirely lacking. The attack on the jail was made by a comparatively small number of men predisposed to disorder who seized upon the opportunity with public indignation gave them to indulge their penchant for violence without incurring the usual risk. Actively aiding them was a somewhat larger number of youths. The rest of the crowd was made up of men of respectability, well-dressed women, many leaning on the arms of escorts, and boys and girls. Just family outings for white folks. They all seem like family outings, entertainment for white folks. The sentiment of the crowd was as remarkable as its composition. It was as if all had turned out for a frolic. They had gathered for a spectacle, and they made merry over the prospect. Loud laughter greeted jokes with violent death as their theme. Demands for blood were cheered. Women were in front of the jail with baby carriages. Didn't I tell you they motherfucking asses had their babies out there? Didn't that the white women had their babies out there? Pregnant white women was at these lynches. Look, probably had some little babies with them. Mayor Kern, State's Attorney Farmer, and former Judge Schaefer consulted and agreed that to oppose the crowd with force would not be good policy. A suggestion was made that the fire department turn water on the crowd. Mayor Kern opposed this on the ground that it would make the people angry. Somebody rang the fire bell. However, a hose cart dashed down the street through the crowd, reeling off hose by way of polite intimidation of what it was proposed to do. The crowd calmly separated the hose into sections of convenient length and tied these into knots. The firemen went back to their house with all the hose the crowd would let them have. Said, yep, they were done. They didn't try no more. For an hour and a half after the assailants got inside the jail, the sounds of heavy blows were heard through the windows, which had been shattered by boys. Youths appeared frequently at the windows and shouted information meant to be humorous. The crowd was none too exacting as to the quality of humor offered, and each sally about the progress made toward the nigger was greeted with cheers and laughter. The crowd was none too exacting as to the quality of humor offered, and each sally, S-A-L-L-Y, and each sally about the progress made toward the nigger was greeted with cheers and laughter. It was 20 minutes to 12 o'clock when the self-appointed announcers rushed to the windows and shouted gleefully, "We've got him! They're taking him to the square," somebody shouted a few minutes later, and the well-dressed throng moved with many a jest toward the square to see the big show. It was entertainment for them. The crowd in the jail had broken into Wyatt's cell. He had fought fiercely for his life. A blow from a sledgehammer felled him. A rope was tied around his neck. He was dragged out into the corridor, down the stairs, and into the jail yard, then into Spring Street, up to Main Street, and to the center of the square. A man riding on a white horse led the way to an electric light pole in the square. The end of the rope was thrown over it. The body was drawn up above the heads of the crowd, who cheered and waved their hats. Men on the pole kicked Wyatt in the face. The swaying form was stabbed repeatedly. Mutilations followed. Kerosene was bought and poured over his body, and it was set on fire while the crowd cheered. The rope burned through and the body fell. More kerosene was poured on the body as the flames slowly consumed it. Mayor Kern telephoned to the police station half an hour later and ordered that an undertaker be directed to remove what remained of the body. This was done. Police and other officials say they could have held the jail if they had used their revolvers, but they did not want to do so because they were afraid somebody would be hurt. And Sheriff Thompson was out of the city. Mr. Hertel's condition is improving. His recovery is expected. He greatly regrets the lynching. New York Times, June 23rd, 1903. Negro murder suspect burned. Wilmington, Delaware, June 22nd. A mob of 2,000 persons tonight took George White, the Negro suspected of murdering 17-year-old Helen S. Bishop last Monday, from the workhouse, burned him at the stake, and riddled his body with bullets. Guards attempting to repulse the crowd inadvertently shot a man and a boy. Chicago Record, Herald, June the 24th, 1903. Fiery sermon by pastor, Wilmington, Delaware, June the 23rd. A fiery sermon by a pastor was blamed today for the lynching last night of George White, Negro accused ravisher and murderer of Miss Helen S. Bishop. The Reverend Robert A. Elwood, pastor of the Olivet Presbyterian Church, preached a sensational sermon on the probable lynching of White last Sunday evening. A pastor! The text of the sermon was widely distributed, and this was believed today to have had much influence in the lynching of White, which followed. Reverend Elwood took his text from Corinthians 5. Corinthians V, that's the Roman number, that's 5. Corinthians 5:13. Do it say this? Therefore, put away from among ourselves that wicked person. In referring to the urgency for a speedy trial for the Negro, Reverend Elwood said, I call your special attention to that part of my text found in the Constitution which says, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. On the day of this terrible crime, the officials arrested a man supposed to be guilty. He was taken before a magistrate and held without bail. Tonight, he is in jail with armed guards parading about for his protection, waiting until the middle of September. Is that speedy? Is that even constitutional? Oh, honorable judges, call the court, establish a precedent, and the girls of this state, the wives of our homes, and the mothers of our fireside, and our beloved sisters will not be sorry, and neither will you. And honorable judges, if you do not hear and heed these appeals, and that prisoner should be taken out and lynched, then let me say to you with the full realization of the responsibility of my words, even as Nathan said to King David of old, after his soldiers had killed Uriah, thou art the man. So I would say to you, the responsibility for lynching would be yours for delaying the execution of the law. If the judges insist that the trial of the murderer of Miss Bishop be delayed until September, then should he be lynched? I say yes. This is what the pastor was saying. And it incited the people. And they decided, no, we ain't going to wait till September. The father of the murder victim is also a minister. Prior to the lynching, the Reverend E.R. Bishop had issued a letter begging the people to permit the law to take its course. Reverend Bishop's letter said, now he the father. Dear friends, Mrs. Bishop and our children join me in this expression of the deepest gratitude for your Christian sympathy and tender ministrations in our agonizing grief. Though comparatively strangers, you have been as dear friends whose hearts have been proved by years of acquaintance. You have helped us bury our sorrow, made hundredfold more intense by the most revolting crime. Our cup of bitterness is full, and we ask you to join us in our appeal to all citizens of our Commonwealth to refrain from violence. The officers believe they have all the evidence necessary to convict the prisoner. And without doubt, as soon as the court can reach his case, he will receive his sentence and pay the full penalty for his atrocious crime. If he can be legally tried, this will be so. By all means, let justice be swift. But if not, then let us wait calmly until the law in its majesty may remove the vile wretch from society. In the meanwhile, the culprit is shut up with his guilty conscience, a hell of itself, and knows he must meet the demands of law and justice with his life. Any other course of procedure would bring a kind of glory for those of his class, would intensify the suffering of the afflicted family, possibly endanger the life of a delicate woman, and certainly would dishonor the laws of our Commonwealth. Let us not try to atone for one crime, no matter how hellish, by committing another. Sincerely yours, E.A. Bishop. How sincere. Mrs. Bishop, mother of the murdered girl, is in a state of extreme nervousness. White was put to death within a few hundred yards of the Bishop home, and the glare of the fire and the howls of the mob could be plainly seen and heard at the house. Prior to the lynching, White was incarcerated in the Newcastle County Workhouse. A crowd of several hundred whites advanced into the reception hall and demanded admittance to the jail. Their demand was refused by the guards, and they were deluged by a stream of water from the firefighting equipment of the institution. This did not lessen the eagerness of the besiegers, who immediately began an assault upon the iron doors. Chief of Police Black shouted to the crowd, "The first man that comes into this corridor will be killed." The leader of the mob grasped one of the heavy sledgehammers, and as he attacked the steel grating, he cried, "Then you had better kill me for the first one." Another man shot out of the cluster of incandescent lights in the vestibule. The mob and guards exchanged shots, but did not aim at each other. Peter Smith, a 12-year-old boy, and another youth, name not known, were wounded during the fusillade, Fusillade. Smith was shot in the back. Why? 12 years old, he was there to help with the lynching. The bullet which struck him evidently came from a pistol in the crowd, as it is claimed by the prison warden that his guards fired over the heads of the lynchers. Smith is not expected to live. The other injured youth was shot in the nose and is expected to live. While about 300 men and boys were storming the front of the jail, men and boys, several thousand sympathizers were lined up outside, and while they took no active part in the attack, were plainly in favor of lynching White. Several thousand, just waiting. After forcing their way into the lower corridor on the west wing, the crowd surged up to the front row of cells on the third floor. The leaders, who had the sledges and rivet cutting appliances, were calm and determined, and cut straight to the cell of the man they were after. That no other doors were demolished is due to the leaders, who told Chief Black and Warden Meserve, Meserve, that's Warden Meserve, Meserve, I guess that's how you say it, that they were intended to get the Negro if they had to break every steel door in the place, and argued that it was a useless expense to the county to have unnecessary damage done to property. The officials saw the strength of this argument and informed the leaders that White was in cell number 13 on the front row, third story. This was enough, and the door to this row of cells was at once attacked. "This is the only door between us and our man." Shouted one of the mob, "And if you will stand back, we will cut it. And if you will stand back, we will cut it open in an hour." It was just 22 minutes of 12 o'clock when the mob, with yells, curses, and cheers, rushed into the corridor past the cell doors of the frightened prisoners to the cell occupied by White. Here more trouble was encountered, for in smashing the lever box, the mechanism was damaged, and the door to the cell of White could not be opened. Warden Meserve then rushed into the cell corridor to prevent the mob taking the wrong man. He saw that the men with hammers were about to demolish the cell door and told them how to disconnect the door so it could be operated. As soon as the door to White's cell slid open, there was a deafening cheer and crowds of, "Don't hurt him, hang him, don't hit him, burn him at the stake, take him to the place where he murdered Miss Bishop, for we have driven a stake there, and we will burn him." White fought desperately for his life and knocked down the first man who approached him. One of the leaders of the mob threw his arms around the Negro, thus protecting him. At this time, the narrow corridor was so tightly packed by the mob that it was impossible to get the prisoner out. One of the leaders of the mob threw his arms around the Negro, thus protecting him, because they didn't want to hurt him and kill him. They wanted to get him so they could torture him and lynch him. A rope was tied around his legs, and he was lowered to the mob below, who dragged him to a previously selected site at Price's Corner. And some of these places, I don't know if you live there and know where it's at, Wilmington, Delaware. Some of these same streets still there. Even if they change the name of the streets, people that's there know what that street was. They know where Price's Corner was. When he found that his case was hopeless, the Negro confessed to having committed the deed and did not spare himself in telling of it. He prayed fervently to God and seemed anxious to do as much talking as possible in the few minutes he had to live. Another strong rope was brought, and the Negro was wrapped in its coils from shoulders to feet. His lips were moving while this was going on, and he seemed to be trying to finish his statement. The crowd was in a hurry to get through with its work and called out for the executioners to hasten. After the rope had been adjusted, the Negro was fastened to the stake, and the torch was applied to the straw. The flames leaped up and licked the man's bare hands. He was held erect by one of the lynchers until his clothing was burning fairly when he was pushed into the bed of the fire. He rolled about and his contortions were terrible, but he made no sound. Suddenly the ropes on his legs parted and he sprang from the fire and started to run. A man struck him in the head with a piece of fence rail and knocked him down. Willing hands threw him again into the flames. He rolled out several times, but was promptly returned. While this was going on, shouts, cheers, and gibes went up from the crowd. Oh, they were so excited. When the Negro had ceased to show signs of life, the body was placed on his back and fuel was piled up on it. And a roaring fire was soon consuming it. The Reverend C.H. Thomas of Belleville, Illinois, speaking at Quinn Chapel last night, expressed grave doubts of White's guilt. The only evidence against White, he said, was the testimony of a woman that a knife found near the spot where the crime was committed had belonged to him. That's no evidence. Chicago Record Herald, June 29, 1903. Whites are called demons. Wilmington, Delaware, June 28. The lynching of the Negro George F. White was the chief topic in two churches here today. In the Negro church, some violent sentiments were expressed by a Negro pastor. And in a white church, the utterances of a week ago by the white pastor were endorsed by the congregation. In the First African Methodist Episcopal Church, the Reverend Montrose W. Thornton said, that's Montrose, Montrose W. Thornton, Thornton. He said, the white man, in face of his boasted civilization, stands before my eyes tonight, the demon of the world's races, a monster incarnate, and insofar as the Negro race is concerned, seems to give no quarter. The white is a heathen, a fiend, a monstrosity before God, and is equal to any act in the calendar of crime. I would sooner trust myself in a den of hyena, as in his arms. How y'all can lay y'all asses in his arms, my sister? With a court, law, and officers of law in his hands, the despised Negro can expect no mercy, no justice, nor protection. The Negro is unsafe anywhere in this country. He is the open prey at all times of barbarians who know no restraint and will not be restrained. There is but one part left for the persecuted Negro when charged with crime and when innocent. Be a law unto yourself. You are taught by this lesson of outrage to save yourself from torture at the hands of the blood-seeking public. Save your race from insult and shame. Be your own sheriff, court, and jury, and as was the outlaw Tracy. Die in your tracks, perhaps drinking the blood of your pursuers. Booker T. Washington's charity, humanity, advice of forgiveness, love, industry, and so on will never be reciprocated by white men. The Reverend Robert A. Elwood, the Presbyterian minister who has come in for much criticism for his sermon of last Sunday night, in which he suggested lynching in case the Negro escaped speedy punishment at the hands of the law, did not refer to the lynching or the criticisms today. These criticisms were answered by his congregation today when resolutions were read during the services expressing firm belief in the pastor's honesty, integrity, and Christian character. Thousands of persons visited today the scene where White was burned. They came from all the small towns in this vicinity, and hundreds journeyed from Chester, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia. The burning took place in a freshly plowed field about 50 feet from the roadway, which was hidden by high bushes. The field has been trampled almost as smooth and hard as asphalt by the thousands of persons that have visited the farm. The only evidence that remains of the work of the mob are 3 cobblestones, on one of which this inscription has been placed in indelible ink, INDELIBLE, has been placed in indelible ink. Here is all that remains of White. The bushes behind which the murder was committed have been cut down for a distance of several yards and carried away by relic hunters. Many of those who visited the scene today, among them a large number of young men, carried away a sprig or a branch of the bushes. New York Times, June 26, 1903. Negroes ask $100 million to return to Africa. Montgomery, Alabama, June 25th. The National Colored Immigration and Commercial Association, meeting here in convention, today adopted a petition to President Roosevelt and the National Congress requesting an appropriation of $100 million to secure transportation of members of their race who desire to settle in Liberia. Wrongs which the colored race was said to suffer from in the United States was cited as the reason for this request. Wrongs which the colored race was said to suffer from in the United States was cited as the reason for this request. Well, how about today? We request that white people get their asses out of America and go back to Europe or wherever they came from. Negro Record Herald, July 2nd, 1903. 1 Negro lynched, 4 beaten. Norway, South Carolina, July 1st. Charles Evans, Evans, colored, suspected of the murder of John L. Phillips, was taken from the jail here last night and lynched by an unmasked mob. 4 other Negroes who were confined in the jail were also taken by the mob and beaten into insensibility. Evans was charged with murdering John T. Phillips, a one-armed Confederate soldier. Didn't say nothing about self-defense. It was self-defense. Chicago Record Herald, July 2nd, 1903. Mob lynches Negro man, flogs 3 Negro women. Columbia, South Carolina, July 1st. A dispatch just received here from Piedmont, Anderson County, says that Reuben Elrod, Elrod, a respectable old Negro, was shot and killed at his house last night by a mob of 50 men. Three women who lived in the house were taken out, stripped, and flogged severely, and then warned to leave the county. No reason for the attack was given. Chicago Record Herald, July 15, 1903. Rape victim witnesses lynching of attacker. Eastman, Georgia, July 14th. Ed Claus, Claus, a Negro, was lynched near here tonight while his victim, Miss Susie Johnson, was looking on. Claus was captured after being chased through 7 counties by 50 farmers. Claus attacked Miss Johnson last Thursday as she was returning from a small school which she teaches. The Negro kept her prisoner for several hours, and she was found next morning by a searching party. A posse was organized, and the Negro was trailed from here almost to Savannah before he was overtaken. He was brought here tonight by his captors and taken to the home of Miss Johnson. The young woman identified him, and when asked what she wanted done with him, she said, "He ought to be killed." The Negro was then tied to a tree, and the members of the mob fired at him until he was literally cut to pieces. And he kept her for several hours, a prisoner. They probably was in a relationship. They probably was having sex, or so many lies. White women were quick to make sure they was a victim. Always a victim. Chicago Record Herald, July 27, 1903. Wrong man lynched as the rapist. Savannah, Georgia, July the 26th. He wasn't even the right man, y'all. Several days ago, a Negro, supposed to be Ed Claus, was lynched near Eastman, Georgia, for assaulting Miss Susie Johnson, a young school teacher. The Negro protested he was not Claus and asked for time to prove his statement, but the mob was merciless. It now transpires that the Negro was not Claus and had never seen Miss Johnson. Claus, who assaulted the girl, has been located near Darien, Georgia, Darien, Darien, Georgia, if you know what a place. And officers passed through here tonight to secure him. It is believed Claus will be taken from the officers and lynched. And he was. So they lynched Claus, and then they lynched an innocent man that they thought was Claus. And he was telling them that it wasn't him. They just never cared. Chicago Record Herald, July 27, 1903. Woman pleading innocent, lynched as child poisoner. Shreveport, Louisiana, July the 26th. Jenny Steers, Jenniesteers, a Negro woman who it was charged gave 16-year-old Elizabeth Dolan, Dolan, a glass of poisoned lemonade, causing her death, was lynched on the Beard Plantation near here last night. The mob took her to a tree, placed a rope around her neck, and demanded a confession. The woman refused and was hanged. Chicago Record Herald, August the 13th, 1903. Mob terrorizes Negroes after police spoil lynching. Whitesboro, Texas, August the 12th. An attempted attack today on Mrs. Hart caused the arrest of 8 Negroes, 7 of whom were released. The other was held for identification. About 8 o'clock tonight, a mob took possession of him and hanged him to the limb of a tree. He had not been unconscious when officers arrived from Sherman, and making their way through the mob with a rush, they cut the Negro down. He is being carried to Sherman tonight, but there is talk of going there to take him from jail. After the Negro had been forcibly taken from the mob, its members began terrifying the colored residents of the town. Guns were fired promiscuously into the Negro section, and the terror-stricken Negroes were ordered to leave town at once. As a result, outgoing trains on all roads were filled with Negroes. Black people running for their life. Running for their life. New York Press, February the 8th, 1904. Negro and wife burned. Doddsville, Mississippi. Doddsville, Doddsville, Mississippi, February 7th. Luther Holbert, Holbert, and his wife, Negroes, were burned at the stake here today by a mob of more than 1,000 persons for the killing of James Eastland, Eastland, a prominent white planter, and John Carr, Carr, a Negro on Wednesday at the Eastland Plantation, 2 miles from the city. The burning of Hobart and his wife closes a tragedy which has cost 8 lives and has engaged 200 men and 2 packs of bloodhounds in a 4-day chase across 4 counties, and has stirred this section of Mississippi almost to a frenzy. Following are the dead: Luther Hobart and his wife, Negroes, burned at the stake by mob; James Eastland, white planter, killed by Hobart; John Carr, a Negro, killed by Hobart; John Winters, a Negro, killed by Eastland; 3 unknown Negroes killed by posses. The killing of Eastland, Carr, and Winters occurred Wednesday at Eastland's plantation. Hobart and Winters were in Carr's cabin when Eastland entered and ordered Hobart to leave the plantation. A difficulty ensued in which it was alleged that Hobart opened fire on Eastland, fatally wounding him and killing Carr. Eastland returned the fire and killed Winters. When news of the tragedy reached Dyersville, a posse was formed and left immediately for Eastland's plantation. Arriving there, further shooting occurred and an unknown Negro was killed. Hobart and his wife had fled. Posses were formed at Greenville, Ida Bend, Ittaben, Ida Bend, Cleveland, and other points, and the pursuit of Hobart and his wife was begun with horses and bloodhounds. The chase, which was begun Wednesday morning, was continued until last night, when Hobart and wife, worn out from traveling over 100 miles on foot through cane brakes and swamps, were found asleep in a heavy belt of timber 3 miles east of Shepherdstown and captured. The 2 Negroes were brought to Dyersville and this afternoon were burned at the stake by a large mob in the shadow of the Negro church there. Yesterday, 2 Negroes were killed by a posse near Belzoni, Yazoo County, Belzoni, and Yazoo County is Yazoo County. One of the Negroes bore striking resemblance to Hobart and was mistaken for him by members of the posse. Eastland was a member of a wealthy Mississippi family, and a reward of $1,200 was offered by relatives for the capture of his slayers. 2 brothers of Eastland's participated in the chase and capture of the Hobarts, and both were present when Hobart and his wife were burned. The dead couple leave a young son. Vicksburg, Mississippi Evening Post, February 8, 1904. Lynched Negro and wife were first mutilated. See, some of the newspapers tell more than others. An eyewitness to the lynching of Luther Hobart and his wife and Negroes, which took place in Dyersville yesterday, today gave the Evening Post the following details concerning retribution exacted from the couple prior to their cremation yesterday. When the 2 Negroes were captured, they were tied to trees, and while the funeral pyres were being prepared, they were forced to hold out their hands while one finger at a time was chopped off. The fingers were distributed as souvenirs. The ears of the murderers were cut off. Hobart was beaten severely. His skull was fractured, and one of his eyes, knocked out with a stick, hung by a shred from the socket. Some of the mob used a heavy corkscrew to bore into the flesh of the man and the woman. It was applied to their arms, legs, and body, then pulled out. The spirals turned out big pieces of raw, quivering flesh every time it was withdrawn. New York Tribune, February 29, 1904. Booker T. Washington letter. Birmingham, Alabama, February 28th. The Age Herald. Tomorrow will publish the following letter from Booker T. Washington. Within the last fortnight, 3 members of my race have been burned at the stake. Of these, one was a woman. Not one of the 3 were charged with any crime even remotely connected to the abuse of a white woman. In every case, murder was the sole accusation. All of these burnings took place in broad daylight, and 2 of them occurred on Sunday afternoon in sight of a Christian church. Y'all need to get your asses out of them churches. Your churches in the community with your people. In the midst of the nation's busy and prosperous life, few, I fear, take time to consider whether these brutal and inhumane practices are leading. The custom of burning human beings has become so common as scarcely to excite interest or attract unusual attention. I've always been among those who condemn in the strongest terms crimes of whatever character committed by members of my race, and I condemn them now with equal severity. But I maintain that the only protection of our civilization is a fair and calm trial of all people charged with crime and in their legal punishment, if proved guilty. There's no shadow of excuse for deviation from legal methods in the cases of individuals accused of murder. The laws are, as a rule, made by the white people, and their execution is by the hands of the white people, so that there is little probability of any guilty colored man escaping. These burnings without trial are in the deepest sense unjust to my race, but it is not this injustice alone which stirs my heart. These barbarous scenes are more disgraceful and degrading to the people who inflict the punishment than to those who receive it. If the law is disregarded when a Negro is concerned, it will soon be disregarded when a white man is concerned. And besides, the rule of the mob destroys the friendly relations which should exist between the races, and injuries and interferes with the material prosperity of the communities concerned. Worst of all, these outrages take place in communities where there are Christian churches, in the midst of people who have their Sunday schools, their Christian Endeavor societies, and young men's Christian associations, where collections are taken up for sending missionaries to Africa and China and the rest of the so-called heathen world. Is it not possible for pulpit and press to speak out against these burnings in a manner that shall arouse a public sentiment that will compel the mob to cease insulting our courts, our governors, and our legal authority, to cease bringing shame and ridicule upon our Christian civilization? What Christian civilization? I don't know if you can even call it civilized today, because it ain't doing nothing but keeping you just stuck in a rut. Won't even let you think for yourself. You're so Christian. All you can do is forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. New York Herald, March the 9th, 1904. Negro haters fire town. Springfield, Ohio, Wednesday. As a result of the murder of a white policeman and the subsequent lynching of Richard Dickerson, a Negro, a serious race war is on tonight. One entire square in the Levee district inhabited by Negroes is in flames, and 7 companies of the Ohio National Guard are on the scene, holding a crowd of 5,000 excited people in check. 5,000 white people. All yesterday, mutterings were heard by the Negroes, who, in their determination to revenge the lynching of Dickerson, threatened to kill all the policemen in the city. On the other hand, the whites openly announced that they would burn the district during the night. Alarmed by preparation for hostilities, Mayor C.J. Bolus, B-O-W-L-U-S, Sheriff Routzen, R-O-U-T-Z-A-N, and several prominent citizens called on Governor Herrick for troops, Herrick. The governor quickly responded, and 5 companies were ordered to assist the 2 local companies in preserving peace. Boy, set your ass down. Get your ass in there, sit down. Alarmed, In the meantime, crowds gathered in the street, and at nightfall, 500 young men organized at the post office and started for the levee, shouting out loud, "Burn the niggers!" Each man was armed with a rifle or shotgun and firing at random or on command. By 9:30, a crowd of about 2,000 men had assembled along the Big Four railroad tracks, almost blockading Washington Street. 200 Negroes were clustered together just west of Fountain Avenue in the levee district near the place called Honky Tonk. The Negroes were unusually quiet and seemed to be waiting for a start to be made by the white men. The other crowd was boisterous, and there were frequent yells and several pistol shots heard, although no one has been reported injured so far. Mayor Bolden, Sheriff Rawson, and other officials were stationed in the mayor's office. It was announced by the mayor that the militia was coming as quickly as the cars could bring them. Not the trains. Maybe they didn't have trains. No effort was made to use Company A, 9th Battalion, composed of Negroes, because of fear of race prejudice. At midnight, the crowd, realizing that the troops were about to arrive, applied a torch to the saloon occupied by Les Thomas. Preceding the firing of the building, the mob, at a distance of 100 feet, shot at the front of the building for half an hour, but it's not known whether any of the occupants had remained in the building, and if they did, whether any fatalities resulted from the shooting. The fire spread both ways from Thomas's place, and the mob would not tolerate any effort of the department to put out the fire in the levee district, but offered no resistance in the attempts to confine the fire to the buildings along Washington Street, known as the levee. These buildings are dilapidated frame structures, ranging from 1 to 3 stories in height. They are, for the most part, saloons, dwelling, and small rooming houses of Negroes. The militia had not yet arrived in sufficient numbers to attempt to quell the mob. At midnight, one whole square was in flames. The militia had been reinforced by the Urbana Company, and a crowd of 5,000 under military check were viewing the destruction of the levee resorts with great satisfaction. Half a block away, cheers were heard as the buildings fell in. While the eastern portion of the levee is doomed, it is thought that the department will be able to confine the conflagration to the region east of Spring Street. Members of the mob openly declare that when their work in the eastern levee district is completed, they will transfer their efforts to that portion west of the Big Four station and the Arcade Hotel. This portion of West Washington Street is also known as the levee, and the buildings are similar to those in the eastern portion. The arrival of the additional militia alone can save these places, and a trainload of troops from several towns between here and Cincinnati are anxiously awaited. Apparently, the Negroes all over the city are becoming intimidated, and their boasts made earlier in the evenings are no longer heard. The coroner held an inquest today over the body of Dickinson, but none was blamed for the lynching, which took place in the center of the city last night before a mob of 2,000 persons. The coroner rendered this verdict. After having heard the evidence and examined the body, I find that the deceased came to his death at the hands of a mob which forcibly broke into the county jail, overpowering the authorities, and lynched the said Richard Dickerson. I am unable to determine the direct cause of death, but I found him hanging by the neck to a pole at the southeast corner of Main Street and Fountain Avenue in Springfield, with a number of bullet holes in his body. I have been credibly informed that he was placed there about a quarter after 11 o'clock p.m., March the 7th, 1904. I am unable to fix the responsibility for his death. New York Sun, March the 22nd, 1904. Confederate veterans deplore lynching except for rape. New Orleans, March 21st. The Confederate veterans of Mississippi are determined to give their assistance to try to stop lynching by burning. The W.R. Barksdale Camp of Confederate Veterans of Mississippi has adopted resolutions calling for the strict enforcement of law and order and denouncing mob violence as antagonistic in liberty and leading ultimately to anarchy, desolation, and ruin. The resolutions say, as Confederate veterans and law-abiding citizens of Mississippi and of the United States, we are violently, vehemently, and eternally opposed to the practice of burning a human being for any crime whatsoever. We appeal to all Confederate veterans, their wives and daughters, and to that great and glorious organization, the Daughters of the Confederacy, one and all, to arise in their might and by precept and example, voice and pen, moral force and influence, help put a stop to this diabolical, barbaric, unlawful, inhuman, and ungodly crime of burning human beings. We are unalterably opposed to the lynching of a human being, except perhaps for the one unmentionable crime, rape. New York Tribune, March 18, 1906. Is lynched by orderly mob suspected of cow killing. That's the title. Is lynched by orderly mob suspected of cow killing. Planquemines, Planquemines, Louisiana. I think that's how you say it. Planquemines, Louisiana, March 17. William Carr, Negro, was lynched without ceremony here today by an orderly party of 30 masked men who harried him to a railroad trestle and hanged him. He had been accused of killing a white man's cow. New York Tribune, March 20, 1906. Lynched after receiving Supreme Court reprieve. Knoxville, Tennessee, March 19th. A message from Chattanooga to the Journal and Tribune says that Ed Johnson, the Negro convicted of rape, in whose case the United States Supreme Court granted an appeal today, was removed from jail at 11 o'clock tonight and lynched. Chicago Tribune, March 26, 1910. Interracial couples' conduct results in lynching of man. Pine Bluff, Arkansas, March the 25th. Resenting alleged improper conduct on the part of Judge Jones, a Negro, and a young white woman, a mob of 40 men gathered at the county jail here tonight, overpowered the jailer and his deputies, and hanged the Negro. Resenting alleged improper conduct on the part of Judge Jones, a Negro, and a young white woman, a mob of 40 men gathered at the county jail tonight, overpowered the jailer and his deputies, and hanged the Negro. New York Press, March 26, 1904. 9 lynchings in 1 week. Little Rock, Arkansas, March 25th. A special from DeWitt says, D-E-W-I-T-T. A special from DeWitt says 5 Negroes have been taken from the guards at St. Charles, this county, and shot to death by a mob. This makes 9 Negroes who have been killed in the last week in the vicinity of St. Charles on account of race troubles. Montgomery Advertiser, August 1st, 1910. 15 Negroes are shot down. Palestine, Texas, July the 31st. At least 15 and perhaps as many as 20 Negroes, all of them probably unarmed, were hunted down and killed by a mob of 200 or 300 men in the Slocum and Denison Springs neighborhood of Palestine last night and yesterday. Sheriff Black said today that the Negroes were killed without any real cause at all. After returning from a 24-hour investigation in the southeastern part of Anderson County, Sheriff Black made the following statement this morning. Strong race feeling prevails in that part of the county. Men were going about and killing Negroes as fast as they could find them. And so far as I have been able to ascertain, without any real cause at all. The Negroes had never done anything that I could discover. There was just a hot-headed gang hunting them down and killing them. There was just a hot-headed gang hunting them down and killing them. We found 11 dead bodies, but from what I have heard, the dead must number 15 or 20. We came across 4 bodies in one house. We don't know the final number killed until the locations of all bodies are revealed to us by the buzzards. I don't know how many there were in the mob, but I think there must have been 200 or 300. A misunderstanding over a promissory note is said to have been the cause of the trouble. Editorial from the Literary Digest, New York, August 13, 1910. The Palestine Horror. We wish to publish without comment segments of editorials from 2 southern newspapers on the recent outbreak of lynchings near Palestine, Texas. The first is from the Houston Chronicle, which cries out against indiscriminate butchery of Negroes because of some crime committed by an individual member of the race, and says, it would puzzle Satan to find a satisfactory excuse for such an outbreak. With all the faults of the individuals, the Negro race is not a bad race. Fidelity, loyalty, and courage are not uncommon traits. And the Negro is the satellite of the white man. You could not drive him away from the white man, in whose shadow he flourishes. And the white race is not yet ready to dispense with the Negro. Certainly, it cannot afford to dispense with him by the assassination route, and to shoot down unarmed Negroes in their cabins, to kill poor barefooted fugitives who, with their clothes bundled up to flee the country, are overtaken on country roads and shot down and left to welter and to thrash out their lives in the white dust of the roadway, as happened near Palestine, is nothing short of hell-inspired murder, and is just as demonic, just as bloody, just as damnable a crime as if it had been committed by Turks on Armenians, by Kurds and Caucasians, or by Red Soup's warriors on white men. The second is merely a clause from an editorial in the Memphis Commercial Appeal, which advises Northerners to remember their own troubles and not to be too severe in the condemnation of the Texas tragedy. Birmingham News, August 4th, 1910. Negroes fleeing for lives. What they called that, the Hajira? Negroes fleeing for their lives. There was so many black people running for their lives during the reawakening, the Red Summer, the summer of 1919, and the awakening of Black America. There was so many black people running for their lives during all of them race riots, them massacres and stuff. I guess that's where they came up with the Hajira of Negroes. Black people running for their lives, and that's Hegira. I never even heard the word before. Hajira of Negroes. And here we have it. Pensacola, Florida, August 1st. Telephone wires to the vicinity of Dady, Florida, D-A-D-Y, Dady, Florida, were cut tonight, and Negroes were reported to be fleeing for their lives from that section. Business was reported suspended late today while farmers left their field to join posses bent on carrying forward vengeance for the murder of the little schoolgirl, Bessie Morrison, who was slain last Friday. Today it was reported that a Negro had loaned an amulet for good luck to one of the colored men alleged to have slain the child. This Negro, whose name has not been learned here, was captured, a rope placed around his neck, and as he swung from the limb of a tree, his body was shot almost to pieces. According to information here, he is the 4th Negro lynched for this murder. Some white man killed that little girl. And then they going around and just lynching men, black men, for her murder. The cutting of the telephone wires made it impossible to learn the cause of the hunt for Negroes. The cutting of the telephone wires made it impossible to learn the cause of the hunt for Negroes, said to be in progress tonight. Montgomery Advertiser, October 13, 1910. Angry miners lynch Negro. Centreville, Alabama, Centreville, Centreville, Alabama, October the 12th. Grant Richardson, a Negro who lived near Braehead, Braehead. Braehead was lynched last night by unknown parties while Deputy Sheriff Cam Riley was on his way to jail with the prisoner. Riley was overpowered and the Negro shot to pieces. A white woman named Mrs. Crow gave birth some months ago to a child, which was thought by many to be of doubtful color. But the woman strenuously denied the charge till a few days ago when she declared that Richardson had assaulted her and that he was the father of her child. The miners and others living near Braehead, which is a mining camp about 5 miles from Blockton, were so incensed over the affair that they decided to inflict summary vengeance on the Negro as soon as it was known that the sheriff had apprehended him. Chief Deputy Charles Oakley left for the scene of the lynching early this morning as soon as the news reached him of the affair, but everything had quieted down, and it is not thought that he would be able to get any clues to the members of the mob. It is supposed that a coroner's inquest will be ordered as soon as a special coroner is appointed. It is not known here whether or not any charges have been preferred against the woman. This is the first lynching that has occurred in Bibb County, Bibb, and the affair is deeply deplored by the best citizenship of the county. Grant Richardson has lived near Blockton for many years and heretofore has borne a fair reputation, it is said. Him and the woman was in a relationship. She ended up pregnant. And yep, she just told his name. She told his name, and they went in and handled it and lynched him. If she hadn't said a name, they would have went and just been lynching black men. Montgomery Advertiser, August the 5th, 1911. Thwarted mob lynches brother of intended victim. Demopolis, Alabama, Demopolis, August the 4th. A lynch mob unable to locate Richard Verge, Verge, Negro, wanted in connection with the slaying of Vernon Tutt, Tutt, a prominent planter of these parts. Today lynched Verge's brother Sam instead. They couldn't get him, so they got his brother Sam, just like in Red Summer, when we read Red Summer, and it started out with Joe Ruffin, Carswell Grove, and they blamed Joe for the riot, and they couldn't get to Joe because he was injured too, and then the sheriff had moved Joe, but they got his 2 sons, and when they couldn't get to Joe, they went and got his best friend, William Williams, and they lynched him, drug him out of his house. Montgomery Advertiser, August the 15th, 1911. Desperado burned to crisp. Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Coatesville, August the 14th. Zachariah Walker, a Negro desperado, was carried on a cot from the hospital here last night and burned to a crisp by a frenzied mob of men and boys on a fire which they ignited about a half mile from town. Walker had been cornered in a cherry tree yesterday by a sheriff's posse, which suspected him of the murder of Edgar Rice, a special policeman at the Worth Iron Mills. When he was cornered, Walker shot himself in the mouth, falling from the tree. The posse then brought him to the hospital. He'd rather kill himself than let them do it. When he was cornered, he shot himself in the mouth. The posse then brought him to the hospital. News of the murder of Rice, who was very popular among the people here, spread rapidly. There had been no other crimes committed in this neighborhood that had been blamed on Negroes, and talk of lynching fell on willing ears. The main street of Coatesville is usually filled with people from the surrounding towns Sunday nights, and a crowd soon gathered at the hospital. As the crowd increased, the talk of lynching spread, and finally a masked man mounted the steps of the hospital and shouted, "Men of Coatesville, will you let a drunken Negro do up such a white man as Rice?" The orderly crowd was instantly transformed into a righteous mob, a riotous mob. RIOTOUS. The attack on the hospital was then made. There were only the superintendent, 4 nurses, and a policeman in the institution at the time, and a defense of the Negro was impossible. The crowd swarmed into the place through smashed doors and windows, and before most of the mob knew it, the wounded and frightened Negro was being taken out of the building, screaming piteously. Still laying on the cot, he was carried through the streets and out of the city to the Newland Farm, the Newland, Newland, to the Newland Farm. He had been tied to the bed with ropes, and as the crowd tore fence rails and gathered wood and other inflammables, Walker writhed on his cot and tugged at his bonds, but he couldn't free himself. All the leaders in the crowd wore masks made of handkerchiefs tied around their faces up to the eyes. They carried on their work quickly, and after piling up the rubbish, placed the cot with its shuddering victim on it over the pile. A dozen matches, it seemed, were simultaneously applied to the pyre, and in an instant the Negro was enveloped in the flames. The fire burned the ropes that held him, and he made a dash for liberty. Walker reached the fence and was about to climb it when stalwart hands seized him and dragged him back to his funeral pyre. As he was thrust back into the flames, he shrieked, "Don't give me a crooked deal because I ain't white." Only vile oaths greeted his plea. That's what he said. As he was thrust back into the flames, he shrieked, "Don't give me a crooked deal because I ain't white." Birmingham News, November 13, 1911. November 13, 1911. Governor commends lynchers. Augusta, Georgia, November 11th. A special from Anderson, South Carolina says, what was unquestionably the most sensational gubernatorial address ever delivered by a man holding that office in South Carolina came from Governor Cole L. Blease, who spoke here today to 1,000 people in compliance with an invitation. Governor Blease devoted considerable time to the recent lynching of a Negro at Honea Path, Honea, Honea Path, when the mob was led by Representatives Josh Ashley and was rather commendatory in his expressions. He said he had been informed by a telegram from the sheriff of the situation and had in turn wired the sheriff instructions, sending 2 telegrams. The telegram to Sheriff King, said the governor, said, "Keep in touch with the Honea Path affair and send me a report tomorrow morning telling me what's going on." Sheriff King received that telegram, and he understood its meaning. Next morning, I received his report, and it was exactly what I expected. As a matter of fact, if it had been any different, I would have been greatly disappointed. The governor went on to say that rather than use the power of his office in deterring white men from punishing that nigger brute, he would have resigned the office and come to Honea Path and led the mob himself. And led the mob myself. Montgomery Advertiser, January 22nd, 1912. 4 Negroes lynched at once. Hamilton, Georgia, January 25th. A mob of 100 men tonight broke into the Harris County Jail, overpowered jailer E.M. Robinson, and took 4 Negroes, 3 men and 1 woman out, and hung them to trees 1 mile from town. Then they riddled the bodies with bullets. It is estimated that 300 shots were fired. Last Sunday, while Norman Hadley, a well-to-do young married farmer, was sitting in his home, a shot was fired through the window and he fell dead. That afternoon, 4 Negro tenants Belle Hathaway, John Moore, Eugene Hamming, and Dusty Crutchfield were arrested, charged with the crime. Crutchfield. There was a lady, remember Bally Crutchfield? That was her last name too, Bally. Sheriff Hadley. I knew some Hadleys. Well, Sheriff Hadley, who is an uncle of the dead man, feared no lynching, and tonight he is in Columbus. Public sentiment, however, had been crystallizing here all day today, and by nightfall, there were a great many country people in Hamilton. Their number was constantly augmented, and by 9 o'clock, fully 100 men had congregated in front of the courthouse in which the jail is located. Despite the pleas of Jailer Robinson, they advanced on the calaboose and, throwing him on one side, broke the doors down. The terrified Negroes were hustled out at the point of guns and marched outside of town. There they were quickly strung up. Immediately, their writhing bodies became silhouetted against the sky. Revolvers and rifles blazed forth, and fully 300 shots were fired before the mob dispersed. The Negroes protested their innocence to the last, but the mob would have none of it. Montgomery Advertiser, April 10th, 1912. Lynched after acquittal. Shreveport, Louisiana, April 9th. Tom Miles, a Negro aged 29, was hanged to a tree here and his body filled with bullets early today. He had been tried in police court yesterday on a charge of writing insulting notes to a white girl employed in a department store, but was acquitted for lack of proof. I knew some Miles. I knew someone named William Miles. Yep. Editorial from the Savannah Tribune, May 4th, 1912. African recruiter lynching. The account of the death of the Negro near Jackson, Georgia last Friday night, who was lynched because he undertook to secure recruits for a proposed African colony, shows with how little secrecy the whites of certain rural districts take the life of a Negro. We do not know the circumstances surrounding the death of this Negro other than the one fact that he was working among his own people, endeavoring to get a sufficient number of them to go to Africa. The likelihood is that he was succeeding in his project, and because of this apparent success, the white farmers in the community who were depending on these Negroes to gather their crops became angered and decided to nip the movement in the bud by lynching the leader and holding on to their laborers whose services they were getting for little or nothing. This they did, and the pitiful part about it is that this lynching, as all others, will go unnoticed by the state and government authorities. Nothing was brought against this Negro's character by the people who took part in the lynching. He was not charged with the usual crime or termed an unruly, disrespectful black brute. In fact, nothing whatsoever was given out against him other than the fact that he was securing recruits for Africa. The time was whenever a Negro was lynched, some heinous charge was brought up. But of late years, lynchings have become so common that not the slightest effort has been made by the law to apprehend the guilty parties, so that they have the law to apprehend, so that they have not had to resort to this form of procedure in endeavoring to justify their actions. Truly has it come to a lamentable state when a Negro's life is to be snatched out for no cause whatsoever other than to satisfy the unquestionable thirst of certain white people for the blood of a black man. Montgomery Advertiser, September the 12th, 1912. Lynched for being black. United States District Attorney O.D. Street of Birmingham today made public a letter which he is forwarding to Governor O'Neill. The letter is from C.P. Lunsford of Hackleburg and reads as follows. On last Wednesday, there was a Negro man chased and hounded down and murdered while going peacefully along the railroad. There was not anything against him, but a party of men got after him because his skin was black and murdered him. The grand jury was in session at the time and has not paid any attention to the murder, not even so much as to put the parties under arrest. The Negro who was murdered was Willis Perkins of Sheffield, and I am reliably informed that he was of an excellent character. I write you to know if there's any law. I write you to know if there is any law in the United States to protect its citizens against such outrage and the wholesome slaughter of human beings. This is the second Negro that has been killed in this county in the last 12 months, and the state authorities seem to pay no attention to it whatsoever. The parties who murdered the Negro are Walt Miller, Tom Mason, C.L. Baker, Jack Purser, John Stidman, and others. I would be glad if you would send a detective over here and see if we can't stop this mob violence. U.S. Attorney Street says that he is forwarding the letter to Governor O'Neill as he is powerless in the matter. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, advocate verdict, September the 13th, 1912. Wrong man believed lynched. Princeton, West Virginia, September the 7th. That a mistake was made in lynching Walter Johnston, a colored man, last night is now believed by the authorities. A statement was issued today by Mayor Bennington, Sheriff Ellison, Judge Maynard, and prosecuting attorney J.O. Pendleton, stating that there is plenty of evidence that Walter Johnston did not commit the crime for which he was lynched. A mob lynched Johnston last night, allegedly for attacking Night White, Nitewhite, for attacking Night White, 14-year-old daughter of a railroad man. Today's statement said that Johnston fell far too short in dress and physical appearance of the man described by the girl. Montgomery Advertiser, November 11th, 1912. Buggy collision incites mob to lynch Alabama Negro. Wetumpka, Alabama, Wetumpka, Wetumpka, Alabama, November 10th. One Negro is killed and a posse of infuriated citizens in the neighborhood of Floyd, Elmer County, are hunting a second Negro with the aid of the state penitentiary dogs tonight. The two Negroes earlier in the day killed John Kritzberg, Chrisitzberg, an Elmore County farmer, and later one of them, Bernie, Berney, killed Claude Kidd, Kidd, one of his pursuers. It is learned here that Mr. Kritzberg's two daughters were on their way to church when they met the two Negroes, driving in the opposite direction. The young woman drove as far to the side of the road as possible, but the wheels of the vehicle driven by the Negroes locked those of the Mrs. Kritzberg buggy, causing the horse to run away. A party of young men passing by repaired the harness and took the two young women to church and returned to punish the two Negroes. They informed Mr. Kritzberg, who joined them in the pursuit of the Negroes. Overtaking two Negroes in advance of his party, Mr. Kritzberg attempted to horsewhip both of them when one of them shot Mr. Kritzberg through the body, inflicting serious, if not fatal, wounds. After the shooting, the Negroes took to the woods, and it was necessary to get the penitentiary dogs to follow. A large number of the citizens joined in the manhunt. The occupants of a Negro cabin stated that the parties sought were not there. Believing the Negroes to be secreted about the cabin, some of them went inside and noticed a loft overhead. Claude Kidd, one of the pursuers, mounted a rickety table while some of his companions held it and with a pole pushed up one of the planks of the loft. As he did so, a pistol shot from the loft rang out, and Mr. Kidd fell to the table dead, the ball striking him in the top of the head, coming out under the lower jaw. Those in the house came out and made the Negro owner of the cabin bring Mr. Kidd's body out. They told the Negro to go back and tell the Negro that did the shooting to come out or they will burn the house. The Negro refused to come out, threatening to kill the owner of the premises if he came back. The crowd proceeded to set fire to the cabin. The Negro, seeing that he would be burned, made a dash for liberty, shooting at the crowd as he ran. Fortunately, no one was struck. The Negro was killed, his body being completely riddled with bullets. The second Negro made his escape. Atlanta Constitution. He made his escape. The second one did. I bet he never forgot it. Atlanta Constitution, February 9, 1913. Second Negro lynched for crime of one man. Houston, Texas, February 8th. A mob of 1,000 persons conducted a mock trial in the courthouse yard here today. Found David Rucker, Negro, age 30, guilty of murdering Mrs. J.C. Williams. And in the presence of a sheriff and 2 deputies who were powerless to act, chained him to a steel pump in the middle of the yard, soaked his clothes with oil, piled wood about him, and burned him alive. Rucker was the second Negro to die for the murder of Mrs. Williams, who was clubbed to death in her home in the daytime Thursday. Friday, a mob hanged a Negro named Andrew Williams for the same crime. Williams' innocence has since been established. Atlanta Constitution, February 16, 1913. Negro preacher is found swinging from a limb. Shreveport, Louisiana. The body of Charles Tyson, Tyson, Negro preacher residing near Myrtis, Myrtis, was found hanging to the limb of a tree late Friday afternoon by deputy sheriffs who, on the request of the dead man's wife, had been searching for him. It is not known who did the lynching or why. Birmingham News, February 27, 1913. 2 lynched in Texas. Marshall, Texas, February 25th. 2 Negroes were lynched here last night. A Negro named Anderson was hanged by one mob for reasons unknown. Robert Perry was shot to death by another mob, which charged him with horse stealing. Montgomery Advertiser, March 13, 1913. Negro mother and child killed. Henderson, North Carolina, March 12. 2 Negroes, a woman and a child, were killed and 2 Negro men probably fatally wounded early today when unidentified persons, after pouring kerosene on the home of Joe Perry, a Negro living 10 miles from this place, set it on fire and poured a fusillade of bullets into the blazing structure as its occupants attempted to escape. The dead are Joe Perry's wife and her child, and the wounded Joe Perry and his brother John. There are no clues. Sheriff Royster has gone to the scene. Montgomery Advertiser, June 6, 1913. Post bail is slaughtered. Beaumont, Texas, June 6. Richard Galloway, Negro accused with 2 others of attacking a party of white men last Saturday, was riddled with bullets today as he left the jail after electing to go free on bail. His 2 companions have decided to remain in prison pending a hearing. He posts bail and they slaughtered him. Atlanta Constitution, July 22nd, 1913. Mob ignores minister's plea. Americus, Georgia. Americus, Georgia. June 21st. 4 Negroes are wounded and 1 is dead tonight as a result of the shooting today of Chief of Police William C. Barrow, Barrow. The dead Negro, William Redding, Redding, is purported to have fired at Chief Barrow as the chief was attempting to arrest him for intoxication. Redding was taken to jail after his altercation with Chief Barrow, but was soon seized by a mob of 500 who strung him up to an overhead cable. Shooting at him then began from every direction, and 4 other Negroes, all innocent bystanders, were wounded, one of them apparently fatally. Miraculously, no whites were wounded. Before the shooting began, Reverend Robert Bivens, pastor of the Furlaw Lawn Baptist Church, pleaded with the leaders to spare the life of the Negro. His pleadings lasted during the 20 minutes required to string the body up to the cable, and then yells of the crowd and the shots from many pistols drowned out his voice. Editorial from the Memphis Commercial Appeal, August 5th, 1913. Lynching bad for business. The killing of Negroes by white people in order to fatten an average ought to be stopped, and killing Negroes just because one is in a bad humor also ought to be stopped. Two apparently inoffensive Negroes, good farm hands, real wealth producers, were assassinated near Germantown a few days ago. The Negroes had furnished no possible motive for the deed. So far as anyone knows, they were quiet and orderly, as country people of their class usually are. They worked and played and loafed, just like other country Negroes. Now, the Negro is about the only dependable tiller of the soil in these parts. Competition for existence is not keen enough to force many white people into the harder work. The Negro also is very useful as a distributor of money. About all he gets goes through his fingers. Commercially, then, he is a very valuable asset. It is not good business to kill them. When the Negro enters into the contest with the white man, he is already at a disadvantage. And therefore, the truly brave white man never seeks a quarrel with Negroes. He knows that the Negro is at a disadvantage, and he does not desire to take advantage of him. Furthermore, the white man of courage can most always control the Negro without being compelled to resort to violence. Montgomery Advertiser, August the 9th, 1913. Sheriff staves off mob. Spartansburg, South Carolina, August the 8th. Gentlemen, I hate to do it, but so help me God, I am going to kill the first man that enters that gate. So spoke Sheriff W.J. White of Spartansburg County today to a mob of his friends and fellow citizens who were trying to lynch a Negro prisoner in his charge. None of the mob advanced past the gate. Montgomery Advertiser, August 12, 1913. Negro hanged to trestle. Lawrence, South Carolina, Laurens. Lawrence, South Carolina, August 12th. Richard Puckett, a young Negro charged with attempted criminal assault near here yesterday, was taken from the jail here at 12:30 o'clock this morning by a mob estimated to number 2,000 men and hanged to a beam of a railway trestle near the Lawrence Depot. Several hundred bullets were then fired into his body, and the mob dispersed, leaving the body hanging to be examined by a coroner's jury today. Puckett made a denial of his guilt just before he was strung up by the mob. He didn't do it. Puckett was charged with having attacked a young woman who was driving in a buggy along a lonely road near here yesterday morning. It is said he dragged her from the buggy, but fled when she called to her two brothers who were following her in another buggy. Lawrence officers arrested Puckett as soon as they began the search. Soon after they had begun the search, but the young woman who had been attacked failed to identify him. However, it is said bloodhounds were then used to fasten guilt on him. Birmingham News, August 21st, 1913. Sheriff rescues Negro after holding back mob. Spartansburg, South Carolina, August 18th. Three men, Frank Epley, Eppley, J.C. Owensby, Owensby, and John Turner, Turner, were seriously wounded tonight when a mob stormed the county jail in an effort to lynch Will Fair, Fair, a Negro prisoner charged with assaulting a young white woman near here today. Sheriff White and a deputy, facing the mob alone, repeatedly drove them back with pistol shots when they advanced with battering rams. Members of the mob finally returned to fire, and in the darkness, the three men were struck. They were not fatally wounded, but were taken to a hospital for attention. The young woman was assaulted in a lonely farmhouse this morning in the absence of her husband. Several charges of dynamite were exploded late tonight by the mob in an effort to enter the jail here. After they had blown down a portion of the outer wall, they were impressed by the show of strength inside the jail and retired. But threats were made to return later with nitroglycerin, which they proposed. It was said to obtain from a railroad construction camp, which they proposed. It was said to obtain from a railroad construction camp. Hundreds of pistol and rifle shots were fired when the dynamite was let off, but so far as can be learned, no others were injured. Governor Blease was appealed to late tonight to call out the militia to protect Fair. He refused, but announced that he would order a special term of court to try the Negro if he was alive. I think this is going to be the last one. This is the last story on Spartanburg. Yep. Salisbury, North Carolina Piedmont Advocate, September the 27th, 1913. Spartanburg jury acquits Negro nearly lynched. Spartanburg, South Carolina, September the 20th. Despite the positive statement of a respectable white matron of high intelligence that he had assaulted her, Will Fair, a Negro, was found not guilty this afternoon at a special term of General Sessions Court called for the trial of the case. The jury was out 20 hours. A verdict caused no surprise and was quietly received. A few people not entirely familiar with the case were reported to be muttering this evening. Fair was told it might be inadvisable for him to remain in this vicinity. He thought so himself. A position was offered him in a railroad construction camp 300 miles from here. He left for there this evening. The acquittal of Fair is a vindication of Sheriff W.J. White, who at the risk of his life saved the Negro from being lynched. He stood off a large mob who stormed the jail on the night of Fair's arrest and went so far as to blow open the outer gate with dynamite. Hundreds of pistol shots were fired and 3 men were wounded. Police S.J. Alverson, who was alleged to have shot one of the men and who was impelled by the force of public opinion to resign in consequence, has been exonerated by the city council and today was reinstated on the force. People were saying here tonight that Fair's trial and acquittal were epoch-making in South Carolina and made the best argument that has ever been advanced against lynching. The woman is believed to have accused Fair in good faith, but to have been laboring under a delusion due to her physical condition. The circumstances surrounding the case did not bear out the woman's statement. Although Fair admitted that he passed her house about the time of the alleged assault, the jury, it is authentically reported, never considered a verdict of guilty. On the ballot, 6 stood for acquittal. The other 6 wanted to report a mistrial and shift the burden upon another jury. Thus, they stood until about 10 minutes before they finally brought in the verdict. Then Judge George W. Gage, G-A-G-E, bade them to be men. They fled into their room and soon emerged with the verdict. Judge Gage had asked them, "Do you think I may not say anything to help you in arriving at a conclusion in this case?" The foreman, Joseph Lee of Landrum, president of the Hosiery Manufacturing Company, replied, "We are hopelessly disagreed. It is next to impossible for us in matters of this kind to put away all outside considerations. I speak from my own experience and out of my own heart and my own knowledge. I was raised on a plantation with Negroes, and I think I know them as well as any man knows them. I know their weakness, and I know our weakness. They are here by a strange providence, but they are here. How our final relationship with them is to be determined. No man knows, and no man need question himself. If we go to our duty day by day and do justice man by man, the end will come, and the God who made us and who made them and who put us here together will bring us safely to some common end. I know that men are almost incapable of weighing a nice balance of truth where the contest is between one race and another race. especially where the one race is charged with the awful crime of assault. I know the awful peril our country women are subject to. I was raised in the country, and I know its duties and its beauties, its glories and its perils, its joys and its sorrows and burdens. But the question for you in this case is, did this man assault this woman? And under all the testimony, is it true beyond a reasonable doubt? If it is your duty to declare. It is your duty to say guilty. If it is not true as you see it, if it is not true beyond a reasonable doubt, then to write a verdict of guilty in answer to anybody's demand would be to crucify the law, to degrade our courts, and to stultify you men. I know there is such a thing as public opinion that drives and whirls men like a sandstorm. But I tell you this, a wave of public opinion in time of excitement is sometimes the most uncertain thing in the world. The only certain thing is the knowledge which points to the truth and which never errs. If you follow it, you are in the sure path. And if you leave it, you are in quagmires all the way. Then the jury reported that they found Fair not guilty. Let's check on the time here. Oh, I think let's see. I think we good. It's 2:00. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go to 3:00. We're gonna stop right here. We're gonna pick up tomorrow. Birmingham, Alabama. Negro half-wit is lynched. Threatened to lynch whites. Oh, let's see what's there. Montgomery Advertiser, August the 25th, 1913. Negro half-wit is lynched. Threatened to lynch whites. Birmingham, Alabama, August 25th. Deputy Sheriff Dave Kennebrook today reported the lynching of Wilson Gardner. Gardner. Eric Garner was Garner. It's really similar. A young Negro half-wit who was found Sunday hanging by a belt. Gardner had gone around to the homes of white miners near Kilgore, carrying a rope and threatening to hang them. This disturbed the miners, who beat the half-wit to death before hoisting his corpse to a railroad trestle. And they didn't even have mercy on, people that were vulnerable, mentally vulnerable. Yeah, I don't think these folks got no soul or no spirit. And here it is right here, y'all. I found it just now. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hank, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'm beginning to think this is probably not the place for you. I don't know. You know. But y'all, as far as I'm concerned, I just have to, again, my point of view, my opinion, white folks ain't got no soul. They don't have no spirit. We better not go to heaven with them. You better not take your ass to heaven with white folks. Black America, you better not. You need to reconsider with your whole heart. Where's Red Summer? Our Black Bible. You need to reconsider with your whole heart, with all your mind, all your discernment that you got in you, Black America. Reconsider going to heaven, spending your entire ever after with white folks. They don't have no soul. They don't have no spirit. Fuck the dumb shit. White folks, if you got any problem with anything I'm saying, prove your ass got a soul. Prove that you got a spirit and do the right thing. That's all you got to do. You can't say it and prove it. You're showing it. But Black America, I want you to see Black Jesus before we wrap this up tonight. And you already know to process this tonight. Don't wake up in the morning with this still on your heart and your mind and stuff, Process it so you can keep it with you. You can keep their names, their stories, the way that they were lynched, their bodies never to be found again. Their loved ones, their mother, their father, their siblings, never to ever see them again, to not even know what happened to them until they read it in a book. That's what happened to John Pennington. That's what happened to Richard Coleman. People that didn't even know, that knew these men and just don't know what happened to them. But this right here, Black America, this is your Black Jesus right here. You ain't got no business whatso motherfucking ever clinging to your mind, your body, your soul, everything about you, just clinging to this white Jesus. All of this religion, it won't even let you think. It won't even let you contemplate your own Jesus. That's your Jesus right there, Black America. You see that wood? Do you see that kindling? That's Willie Brown. We done read about so many of them tonight. That's what it's like right there. Willie Brown, the part of his body that was left, after that right there, white folks took his body and drug it through the town. They took his body and drug it through the town after they cut off what they wanted and passed it around as souvenirs, after they took pictures and shit. Then they took what was left of his body and drug it through the town. That's your white folks for you. And white folks today, this is what's inside of you. These are your ancestors. See, you might be fooled. And oh no, them ain't my people right there. That's not us and stuff. Well, the damn show ain't us. No, honey. These clanimals right here, them is your people. But I want you to see, Black America, melanated people got all three of these spiritualness gifts. Keep in mind, animals got two of them. Europeans got one. Now, these three spiritual gifts is your body, your soul, and your spirit. Everybody got a body. Even a bug got a body. You try to touch a bug, he gonna run. He can feel. Everybody got touch, sight, hearing, smell, taste. See? The soul. The body. Everybody got a body that's got, unless something wrong with them. People do go through things in life where they lose their smell and the touch and stuff like that. But under normal circumstances, everybody, even a fish body, got these senses right here. Now, the soul, you got to have an intellect, emotion, and the will to have a soul. White folk don't have no emotion. I ain't seen no emotion whatsoever. Even in the one or few who tried to stop the lynchings, the brutal lynchings, although they would allow the lynchings if the law had been carried out and that was the judgment, then they would allow those lynchings right there. But lynchings just in public and just, all unorderly and stuff like some motherfucking carnival, I guess they was against that right there. But hell yeah, they didn't have no motherfucking soul either, as far as I'm concerned. And that's my opinion. So see, intellect, emotion, and will. Animals got both of these. Animals got a body and a soul. Yeah. Animals got a body and a soul. Now the spirit is where you come in at. Europeans only got a body. Europeans ain't got no soul or no spirit. To have a spirit, you got to have intuition, communion, and you got to have a conscience. This comes from Dr. Ray Hagins. I write everything down. I love studying and researching. It's only by the mercy of the ancestors that I quit school in 11th grade. Yeah, because if I had continued on with all them degrees and shit, I probably would have been sacrificing you and selling you out to Black America. So, yeah, I can appreciate that. Yeah, I quit in 11th grade. I should have quit when I was in 3rd grade. And now I don't need y'all motherfuckers teaching me nothing. I sure should have. And when your babies, from now on, when your babies tell you, no, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. If it ever is school again, listen to them. Let Shay Shay teach them babies. Let Shay Shay teach them. So for the spirit, you got to have intuition. You got to have communion. Communion is just worship with your higher power. Now, we know Black people worship. I know we do it up real big in church. We fall out and roll across the floor, roll all the way around that church. You're just rolling like you're going down a hill or some shit. But even when we ain't in church, when we bow ourselves, we got a relationship with the higher power. whoever your higher power is, you keep your higher power. You the one said that it saved you, came in the nick of time. Well, you better ask that higher power where your black ass better be spending your afterlife at. Because if you spending it in heaven, and in Red Summer, this was our first black Bible that I ever had. Roots, I read Roots when I was a little girl. And I kept Roots till I was like 13 years old. I read that book many times, Roots, but I lost it. And that's when I went sideways. When we lose our focus off of us, anything can happen in our life. That's when the distraction, that's when the lull to sleep begins. That's when you begin to forgive and forget, and you begin to normalize everything, and you begin to deny yourself. So that's what happened with me with the book. But on page 64, so Roots, I guess you could say it was a prelude to the Black Bible, I guess. And I was just a little girl then, but now, real finding out that Roots wasn't even true. So I guess I really wouldn't say it is a Bible like this one here is, but it was my Bible when I was a little girl. I loved it, that book. I wish it returned to me now. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you about heaven. I know you got your Bible and stuff, Black American. At first, I was, really strong with you putting that Bible down. King James Version, NIV, whichever one you got. But I ain't even know that mindset no more. We ain't even got time for that right now. Keep your Bible under your arm. I wish I could find that little black Bible I bought for y'all. Because I bought one for y'all because I'm going to learn it. I'm going to read the Bible too. I ain't saying I'm going to learn it and stuff. I'm going straight to the contradictions in it. I don't need you to tell me what the Bible say about heaven and how it's supposed to be all peaceful. And I don't need to hear that bullshit. I need y'all to hear them contradictions in the Bible. And with this truth right here, with the truth, this is your truth, Black America. That other shit, that's not your truth. This is the truth you need to pay attention to today. Now, this man right here, William Joseph Simmons, this man revived the Ku Klux Klan in 1915 on the outskirts of Georgia. Went up on Stone Mountain, him and his friends, on Thanksgiving night. Ain't that some shit? Next time you want to cook your Thanksgiving dinner, you cook it anytime you want to. You can cook it in February if you want to. Matter of fact, it ain't even Thanksgiving dinner no more. Call it forgiving dinner. So you can forgive yourself for all the damn ignorance, the dedicated ignorance. I was like that too. Dr. Ray Hagan said it's called dedicated ignorance. It ain't even self-hatred no more. It's dedicated ignorance. We dedicated to being ignorant. Not no more. Don't be ignorant for this shit right here. All you doing is keeping white people's lies and that clan militia in them. And when it erupts again, you ain't gonna know what the fuck going on because your ass didn't learn nothing. You didn't give yourself a chance. No, I ain't reading that shit. I ain't listening to that. That ain't my life. No, Karen ain't never been that way with me. I love Sabrina's great-great-granddad. I love Karen's great uncle. We go out all the time. You damn dummy. And this man said in 1915, y'all, when he revived the Ku Klux Klan, he said he formed a group in response to a spiritual vision of robed horsemen galloping in the sky, followed by a vision of a map of the United States. Simmons established his KKK shortly after seeing Birth of a Nation and hearing news of the notorious lynching of Leo Frank outside of Atlanta. Now, I know this is 1919, and I know your King James Version and your NIV came before then. This right here just goes to let your ass know that, honey, that mindset that you got of this heaven, it's theirs too. It's their mindset. You think you're going to be in a separate heaven from white folks? They the ones invented heaven. They the ones invented heaven. Your black ass supposed to go to the afterlife. You ain't supposed to spend your forever and ever and ever more with your same tormentors of your ancestors. You're not supposed to do it. Where's the loyalty for anyone? Where's the loyalty? Anybody we've read about in any one of these books. Red Summer. Then we read Racial Violence in Kentucky, 1865 to 1940. Then we read Racial Violence in the United States. Then we read lynchings in Duluth. Then we read they were her property. Now we're reading motherfucking 100 years of lynching. Why would you want to trap yourself with white folks? I know you don't seem like you trapped right now, Black America. You don't see like yourself is trapped, yourself is oppressed, or this right here could possibly be you. So why would you want to trap them on earth where they didn't get no justice and in heaven with white folks? Didn't religion teach y'all to forgive? God forgives everything. All you gotta do is ask him. He won't forgive suicide though, but he'll forgive literally burning a man's body to ashes that you could just blow away. No one ever know it was there. You mean tell me God forgives that? What kind of God is that? What kind of God is that? All these victims, all of our people that's been lynched, 100 years of lynching. Can we even imagine how many? Some of these names ain't even in the book. Is this going to be a part 2 and 3 to this book? We're going to find out. Because all of these people, to be in heaven with white folks, that's not justice. That is not justice at all. Don't fucking keep lying to us. That's not justice. That ain't justice at all. Justice is Black folks being free in the afterlife, not being tied to white folks' motherfucking asses. But that's what you're going to do if you get to heaven. They already done told you the pearly white gates. They already done told your ass how to get there. Jesus is the only way to get to them pearly white gates. And God there, Jesus white, God white too. See, it's all, Dr. Francis Cress Wellington said, since we were kids, you had that baby in church when she was 3 weeks old, 3 days old, something like that. That's all you seen was white Jesus, white Jesus, white Jesus. So it's in your mind's eye. If I tell y'all close y'all eyes right now and I say Jesus, you're going to see that white man. Because we can't help it. We cannot help it. It's been, we've been manipulated. We've been manipulated. Our mind's been fucked with. So, you know, for you to sit there and willingly, and that's all y'all think about Black America. Oh, I'm going to spend my whole life and my afterlife with Jesus, and I'm going to be in his arms forever. Your ass going to be picking cotton. That's what the fuck you going to be doing in the other side, on the other side of life. You go to heaven with white folks, you going to be picking cotton. Because, see, here's the thing. You, Black people, are the manifestation of the cosmos. The cosmos wanted to experience humanity, life. So the cosmos, all of that greatness up there is so huge, it's so big, expansive. They don't even know when the beginning was because it ain't no beginning to us. It ain't no beginning to me. I'm from the cosmos. The cosmos manifested the Black man and the woman like 2 shooting stars. And then it just spread out. And when it hit the earth, them 2 stars, the Black man and the Black woman, the parent of all people. That's where you go back to the multiverse, the cosmos, the ethers. Going to heaven, you ain't going to the ethers. You going to that first universe, that first realm right there. Maybe the 9th realm of the first universe. But that's where you're going to be. Now, the multiverse is 7 to 12 universes, y'all. I didn't even know it. I wish I could find them notes and stuff because I wrote them down too. You know I did. You know I did. But once I get situated and stuff, I'll be pulling them out again. Instead of going to that first universe with white folks where you're going to be in heaven forever and ever and ever tortured, you probably won't even know your ass is a slave in heaven and stuff. I see it's a different mindset. It's different. It ain't going to be like this right here. It's going to be different, but your ass going to be picking that cotton. I don't know if you're going to be doing it by hand or, you know, I don't know. You ain't going to have no physical body. But you're going to be working for white folks. You best believe that. When you get to heaven and stuff, see, you got a choice today. They did not have a choice to go to heaven. Ain't we been reading about in these books and stuff, they crying out to God. We ain't read nobody yet crying out to Yahweh and Yahushua. But, you know, as far as where I'm from and stuff, we just know God and Jesus. You know, I know we got different gods and stuff. We got different names and stuff. But for the sake of this, it's God and Jesus. That's who we heard, Isaac McGee. We read about it. Screaming, crying out, begging God, begging Jesus. We done read about it tonight. Some of them begging Jesus, begging God. And no one came. No one came for them. We are God, goddess. I'm goddess. You, my brother, you are God. White folks can't even go past heaven. That's why they got your black ass wanting to go to heaven. Because they know they motherfucking asses can't go past heaven. So I suggest you, Black America, honey, you better take a detour. You better take a sharp detour, and you better not wait too long. You better start critiquing and reconsidering why you got time. Because if you get trapped and don't come to this decision and something happen and you end up there, that's where you're going to be at. Because you know, it's all about the fact that you know now the difference between heaven and the afterlife. So you can't get up in heaven and then think you're going to be free. Like when I freed everybody, Emmett Till, I freed everybody from heaven because they didn't have the knowledge that we got today. And see, they were protected by the cosmos because when they became angels, when they left here and went over to the other side, and all they knew was God and Jesus and heaven and the pearly white gates and, and all that bullshit they told us and stuff. That's all they knew. So that's where they went to. And what happened was when they crossed over, the cosmos, the ethers, protected them, and it retracted their wings. Yeah, that same story that you turn to, you get your wings when you go to heaven and stuff. Well, the ethers retracted their wings because it knew. The ethers knew. Like y'all always say, God know. Well, hell, the ethers knows that they were innocent. They all were innocent. Maurice Mays, John Hartfield, Jim Grant, Jeff Thornton, they all were innocent. They had no idea of the afterlife. So when they were lynched, burned, roasted, skinned alive and stuff, Emmett Till beaten under a 100-pound fan, they went to heaven. And when they got on the other side over there, their wings retracted inside. So when I told them they were free, they can get out of heaven because I don't believe we supposed to be there. Our honey, their wings came out and they flew away. It's like you opened up a cage and birds just took flight, got up out of there. Now, those who knew and who know and still wanted, I don't care. I know what the Bible said. Beware of false prophets. I know what the Bible said. I'm going to be with Jesus anyway. Well, when you got your ass up there, that's where you're going to be. Because me freeing them didn't free you. Because you know, Black America. See, that's going to be the difference. You're going to have the knowledge of the afterlife. They did not have the knowledge of the afterlife. Do that even make sense to you? If it don't, you got to think about it some more. You're going to have to seriously start thinking for yourself. I know the Bible, you've been having it for a long time. Your mama had it, your grandmama had it, your great-grandmama had it. Everybody had it. But did they really understand it? All of them passages in the Bible telling you about heaven. Bastards can't even get into heaven. I ain't saying that nobody no bastard. I'm just saying, if you wasn't married, your parents wasn't married and stuff, then yeah. There I go right there. Which hell, I said, I know I ain't going to heaven. Sure the fuck ain't. I'm detouring past heaven. But no, my mother and my father were not married. So I guess that's me. But I know goddamn well I ain't going to hell. So yeah, I'm going to the afterlife. You gonna have to come to your own decision. I can't even make your decision for you. All I can let you know is what I'm learning, what I perceive as a Black woman within our history. See, I'm not just telling you some stories, some things that I just made up. No, this is how I feel about what I'm reading and what I'm learning. If you're not feeling and learning the same thing and it ain't bringing the same into you, then you ain't supposed to be here yet. You're supposed to go somewhere else where you can grow and get into your own mindset so you can start thinking for yourself. I mean, I know I'm going to the 12th or never. I don't ever want to spend another lifetime with white folks in this life or the afterlife, ever. And they not up there. They ass can't go no further than heaven. And you know how I know that? Because they motherfucking ass can't even be in the sun right here that long. So how the hell is they going to go out into the ethers? They can't. That's why they've been telling us this whole time, Fix your heart and your mind so you can go to heaven with Jesus. Everything gonna be perfect in Jesus. Oh, what's that favorite one? Oh yeah, all your blessings is stored up in heaven. Oh, you did good. God got you. Got all your treasures set up for you in heaven and stuff. You big ass dummy. You big ass dummy. You gonna get up there in white folks' vision. That's white folks' vision about heaven. And that's who gonna be there. Who at the gates? Who at the gate? That white man, Jesus, God, his daddy? Who galloping in heaven? He said the hell, it's the Klansman. So who the fuck behind the gates? How you think you gonna get out the gates? It ain't got no back door. And my whole life of hearing about the pearly white gates, seeing the pearly white gates, folks putting it in pictures and got it on paintings and stuff. Ain't no back door. I ain't never seen no back door to the pearly white gates. No, you can go in, but your ass can't come out until they let you come out. And you already see, here the Klansman is up there too. So all I want you to decide for yourself, ask some questions. Who the fuck lying? Who's lying to black folks? Because we ain't never thought for ourselves. We ain't never had a chance to think for ourselves. After Tulsa, black folk like, no, I give up. I give up. We'll let white folk do everything. We'll let you do everything. And they done fucked the whole world up. Yeah, everybody's so mad at white American stuff. We don't know who the fuck is finna get they payback on America. But I just want to say on behalf of my people, we ain't had a damn thing to do with it. Sure ain't. And and if you feel like any of y'all other peoples and countries and stuff, you got some beef with white American stuff, please make sure we ain't in it. Don't have my people in it. Yeah, you gonna do what you're gonna do and stuff. Leave my people alone. And leave my people alone. We here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to heal our people. It ain't to help heal white folks. It ain't to protect white folks, keep white folks safe and stuff. Anybody that feel like, hell, you done your last wrong to us, then so be it. So motherfucking be it. And you gonna have to, black America, get yourself to a point where you okay with it. You can let this be. Hell, what you gonna do? Run out there and save everybody else again? Is that what you planning on? Run out there and save everybody? Oh, we gotta save the world. For what? What the fuck you gonna save the world for? Let the world do what the world do so it can go on. And then we can get back to us. Because, see, the thing about it is cosmic energy. I don't call it God no more. Yahweh, and all of y'all, I don't call it that no more. It's just cosmic energy. Ever since I realized the lie, I took it out of the box. Yeah, cosmic energy, you free. Yeah, I don't give it no name. Hell, it didn't have no beginning. So how it's gonna have a name? Who named it? I mean, where did the "y" come from? I'm just asking. I'm just saying. Where did the "j" come from? The "g" for God. Where them syllables come from? Them sounds. There was no sound in the beginning. That's just what the white man told us and stuff. He's a big liar. He's a big liar. I just want you to know, black America. Don't go spend your afterlife with white folks. Because, honey, believe it or not, they got that shit wrapped up too. That's their daddy up there. Shit, he ain't taught their ass nothing this whole time. He ain't taught them nothing. He ain't gave them no consequences for what they've done. Not only to us, to other people in the world. What about the pets of the world? Some pets in the animal kingdom, we'll never even see them again. White folks done extinct them. Yeah, they gone forever. So, I'm just saying, hey, where the fuck is the consequences, the karma for white folks? Oh, they gonna get it when they get to heaven? Oh, you think this is it now because black folks getting away from white folks? That ain't karma. That's our asses just being smart, finally. But we finna get on up out of here because I'm finna process this and try to come back tomorrow and read some more of it. It shouldn't take that much longer, I don't think. I don't know. We'll see. But I just want y'all to, process this tonight. It's a lot today. Keep some gratitude in your heart. I always keep gratitude with you. That's the only thing that you got. Your gratitude. Keep a song in your heart. Can't nobody take it from you. Can't nobody take it from you. They don't know what you got on your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul, because you got one. Gratitude, y'all, it shields you from negativity. Keep some gratitude. I don't care what you're grateful for. Just be grateful. Sometimes I just be like, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I don't even know what I'm grateful for. I'm just grateful for everything. If anybody says, oh, what you grateful for? Give me a minute. It's so many things to be grateful for. Be grateful for life. Be grateful that you got your family. You got somebody that love you. Be grateful for something. Be grateful for your paycheck. For a long time, when I was getting used to the being grateful, and the first thing we do is we grateful for our life, our mom and stuff like that, And then I started getting into it and looking at other things I could be grateful for. For a minute there, it was just a paycheck. It was just my paycheck being grateful for it. But that's okay, because you learn as you go. You learn. The stronger you get, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. The better you can do. The better you can serve your people. It ain't about serving everybody else no more. Being friends with everybody else no more. Dr. John Henry Clark said, we ain't even got no friends. And we don't. We sure don't. Where was other people when we needed them? Nowhere. Nowhere to be seen. And now other people want us to come out there for them. Today, this day, that shit ain't happening. Somebody need to be their motherfucking asses out there calling out somebody's name. Since they all out there together. How about that? White woman, since they want to do so much. Oh, it's not us. We didn't do that, Face. How could you say that? We weren't alive then. No, that wasn't my last name then. My last name is Barry. Didn't we just read about a Barry? We just read about the lynching of a Barry. White women can't get away from this. Oh, no, that was not my great-grandmother in that book you just read. It's the same last name, but it's spelled different. That is not us. Those are your people. Just like these is mine. Can't get away from it. They can't, and we can't let them. So you always keep your secret weapons with you. It ain't no materialistic thing. I know you probably got money and stuff like that, and that's fine, but that ain't what we talking about. That is not the overall weapon. See, all that money that you got and stuff, and all your finances and your lush pillows and stuff don't equal not one star that the cosmos made up there. It don't equal not one star, not even one ring on a rainbow. It don't. It don't even equal one drop of rain. It just don't. So be thankful for your inner weapons, your gratitude, songs in your heart, the love for your ancestors. The loyalty that you have to your people. Be proud of them. That's all you got. That's all you got. Be thankful for your word. That's all you got. All that superficial stuff, materialistic stuff, that shit gonna be gone just like that. Hell, ain't they just told you? Didn't China just tell y'all that the United States been playing y'all for a fool? Y'all motherfucking ass have been running out there buying shoes, coats, glasses, wigs, blue jeans and stuff. Got on the whole motherfucking outfit. And then I think China said that the whole damn outfit cost 75 cents to make. Maybe it was like $7 to make the whole outfit. But Black America, y'all run y'all motherfucking ass out there and paying $200-300 goddamn dollars for a belt. See, now you remember that video, that documentary white folks made decades ago, how to market to a Negro? There you go. Yep, there you go. Gratitude makes you at least 25% happier. See, can't nothing make you happy like gratitude. All you need is some gratitude, honey. When everybody walk off and leave, you be grateful. I bet you gonna get so happy. Be like, hell, who gone? Shit, I feel fine by myself. Gratitude makes you at least 25% happier because, see, Black people, we seem to think that other shit make us happy. Other people make us happy. Making more money make us happy. Having 2 or 3, 4, 5 cars make us happy. That shit don't make you happy because your ass be sitting there just thinking. All depressed and I gotta hide this right here. I don't want nobody to take my stuff. You get away from my water. But you keep your gratitude to make you at least 25% happier. I don't have many days. So when I'm in my gratitude, when I'm in my I'm like 55% happy. I make myself happy now. I don't look to nobody. My mom ain't here. My dad ain't here. My babies, they grown. They got their own families and stuff. Grandbabies. I'm happy when they're around me and stuff, yeah. But they got their own life. When they grow up and stuff, yeah. Make yourself happy. You got to make yourself happy because everybody grow up. People grow up, get married, move, pass away, fall in love with somebody else. Then there your ass go, I'm so depressed. I don't know what to do. Be grateful. Learn how to be grateful so it can help you out. Gratitude also rewires your brain. You ain't going to be thinking about that same old bullshit because once you get that gratitude going and stuff, it's going to keep bringing you more of the like and the same. You finna start getting abundance, prosperity, opportunity. Oh, honey, the favor is finna come. It's finna flow. You ain't going to have time to be thinking about that same old bullshit because you're going to be like, wow, where did this come from? And you open up the mailbox. Wow, where did this come from? Somebody knock on the door. We're here to deliver this publisher clearinghouse. I'm sure my mama used to do that all the time, stuff to you and stuff. Did you apply? Oh, wow, where did this come from? You just finna start getting all the like and the same from your gratitude. So you won't have time to be, oh, yeah, he left my ass again. You know, they repoed my car again. No, you don't have to be worrying about that and stuff. You don't. They repoed my car again. That gratitude, when you get grateful, that gratitude gonna let you know, honey, you finna get another car coming. You gonna get another car coming. More than one. That gratitude can help you go get that car and pay it off. Can't nobody take that motherfucker no more. You gotta be grateful. Gratitude eliminates stress and it heals you. It improves your sleep. It boosts your self-esteem and your performance. Gratitude enhances the law of attraction. Honey, when you grateful for that paycheck, you finna get money galore. You finna get dimes, nickels, quarters, pennies, dollars, fives, tens, 50s, hundreds. You finna get the money. That law of attraction is finna come at you. You grateful for being happy, in love, or whatever. You finna get more of that attraction that's finna come to you. It is. You're going to be feeling so in your best life because of gratitude. Gratitude improves your relationships. Yes, honey, because when you're grateful and you get more coming to you and stuff, honey, oh, yeah, your better half receives some of that through you. And see, it's also teaching them to be grateful. And together, oh, honey, it ain't nothing that y'all can't draw to y'all when you got gratitude. But see, you got to have gratitude and stuff. I be in my feelings and stuff, reading this right here, but I don't stay in this mode. You know, I process it too. And yeah, but I try to keep myself high vibrating. I'm always singing, honey. I sing every song I can think of, you know, just so I can keep a song in my heart. You know, how singing reacts, how your body reacts to singing. Y'all know singing heals your body too. Yes, honey, I had no idea. Singing joyful or expressive songs can nourish your heart, balance your emotions, and uplift your spirits, honey. When you hear a song like Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Commodores, any one of them, I like my mama music, my daddy music. I don't like this bullshit out today. I be no hell. You be like, damn, so what's up, face? You know, I don't like all that bullshit today and stuff. But when you singing those songs right there, y'all, it heals your heart. Your heart starts healing. Your lungs. When you singing them songs, honey, your lungs expand, honey, and you get so much oxygen taken in just because you sing it. Just because you sing, hell, I don't know who you singing after. Regina Bell, I guess. But yeah, when you hit that high note, oh, honey, you taking in, you ain't got so much oxygen in so long, Black America, because your ass been breathing like white America. You've been breathing like white folks here for like, what, 40, 50 years now? I'm just saying, maybe 30. Hell, I don't know. I wasn't even aware of it. But even myself, I think I was breathing like white folks. So I went to a breathing class, and the lady showed us how to breathe and stuff. And I was like, oh, my ancestors. You mean to tell me in 5 to 7, 10 years, all of our nose gonna be like that? I think I started rebelling right then and there and just flare my nose. Sure will, honey. Oh, shit. Good thing I don't use the face app because they'd be like, nope, you can't, you denied. Wrong face, you know. But yeah. When you singing, y'all, it helps regulate emotions like frustration, anger, and stress right out of your liver. I didn't know all of that stores up in your liver. Shit, no wonder we out here mad as hell, depressed, don't want to speak, don't want to talk. We only happy when we getting something. Y'all, you gotta help us now when you get out there and stuff. Hell, I don't know. Ask her sister, what's your favorite song? If she don't know, hell, start singing Good Times. I'm sure her ass know Good Times. Loosen her up a little bit, and then let her know, sister, keep a song in your heart. Just tell her, so she'll know what to do when she catch herself in that old funky feeling. Then hell, she can sing a song and uplift her, get all that frustration and anger and stress out your body. And not to mention, if you're taking all them pills and medicines, ain't that shit accumulating too? Well, it's accumulating in your liver or your kidney somewhere. I don't take shit. So don't. I try not to take nothing, honey. Give me a glass of water. Yep. I'm just saying. And singing, y'all, can strengthen your kidney energy. When you hitting that high note, your kidneys is too. Yes, because your kidneys is fostering your vocal expression. It's all about the vibrations. It's all about the vibration. And see, white folks have manipulated us so much that we can't perceive these things. We can't look at it through the right perspective. We can only see through their perspective. And now it's a new day. You ain't got no other choice but to look through Black perspective. You need to see the world, day-to-day living, your life, Black people's lives. You need to see us through a Black perspective. Quit looking at us through white folks' motherfucking eyes, Black America. Quit looking at us and thinking about us like white folks do. That's how white folks do. We got to look at us, think about us, love us, take care of us, be loyal to us through a Black perspective. See, can't nobody nurture a Black child like we can nurture a Black child. Hopefully, won't nobody harm a child, you know. But Black children need something special, and other folks can't give it to them. It's good that other folks want to give them a home. You know, if they don't have no home and stuff, you know, and want to bring us some clothes and stuff. But if you really want to do something better than that, white folks, help them find somebody that they can be with of our own race. That's about the best thing you can do for a Black child. Because white folks, you don't need to be in our lives like this no more. You gonna have to understand, white America, that we done with you. We're done with you. Not only the 92%, I can't wait till I find them or they find me or something, honey, but I feel it. I'm part of the 92%. We done with y'all. We don't want to have nothing else to do with y'all. Leave us the fuck alone. I'm sure it's 12%, 8% out there that'll still want to be with y'all, Black folks. Be with them. Go to their cookouts and shit. But us on the whole, done with you. Yeah, we done with you. And and I want to say before I get off of here and stuff, you know, for all them mixed kids and stuff, white people, if you're not with that mixed baby's daddy, and even if you is with that mixed baby daddy, let that child go over there and be around their Black side of the family, because y'all asses is fucked up. Y'all asses is fucked up. Y'all asses ain't nothing but clanimals. The first tide that turn, oh, y'all gonna be ready to rage out. You how can you stop it? How can you stop raging out? You can't. You can't. Things just ain't never got to the point where you needed to rage out like you used to doing, like in your nature. This is your nature, white America. This ain't their nature, because it was so long ago. They is you. You them. You came from these white people. Shit, and you mean tell me, no, that ain't us, face. I thought you said earlier, if it's two kinds of white people, to let y'all know. Well, tell it then. Tell it if it's two different sets of white people. And one of them is possessed by demons and stuff, and they done took y'all over and done pretended like they white folks, when they really are reptilians and some different type of species. Then white folks, you got a duty to let the rest of the world know. Because at this point, it looks to me like it's about all of y'all asses got this same spine, this same rage. It's nothing but a beast inside of y'all. But what have you done the whole time? You made the Black man out to be dangerous. You made the Black man out to be lazy, criminal, just everything that your ass is. And the white woman, you ain't no better than the white man. You ain't. You sit up there with your motherfucking ass and act like, oh, we so fragile. Brad, don't. When y'all motherfucking ass was sitting there during slavery and shit, and pulling out black women fingernails and stuff. White women wasn't as strong. It told it in the book. White women wasn't as strong as white men, but they were just as brutal. Just as brutal. And you got us believing all of them church doctrines and lies. That's why Dr. Ray Hagins said it's called dedicated ignorance. And we got to break that programming from them religious statements and them church doctrines. And y'all know the ones he talking about. You a sinner. Your heart is wicked. You under a curse. Them motherfucking lies. Ain't no goddamn sinners if it ain't white babies, honey. White babies, honey. White kids. I don't know here. They about to do the same thing today that they ass used to do. I don't know. Give them a chance and see. Give they motherfucking ass a chance and see. Cause wasn't that the little white girl, 3 years old? The first damn page, I think it was the first page of the first chapter. We read about it. And where the book at? They were her property. And the little white girl, 3 years old, told her daddy, when it told her dad to cut off her nanny slave ears. It was the baby, the white babies, the little girls that got slaves when they were 3 years old, 3 weeks old, 3 days old, 3 months old. Damn, you give a whole slave to a baby? Yeah, well, Karen got her own slave. Oh, she's 3 days old today. Which slave girl you think we should give her to rock her bassinet, when she be sleeping and stuff, rock the bassinet and shit like that, and hold a bottle in her mouth and shit like that? That's bullshit. So if anybody born a sinner, and I don't think they were born like that, hell, I don't know, but were they? I know black babies ain't born like that. I don't know how the fuck white folks is born like that. See, that's the bullshit y'all been teaching us. Racism ain't born, it's taught. So how the fuck did white folks end up with it? How? And they just immediately, it's their way of life, it's their culture. White folks ain't never got rid of this. They ain't never got rid of this. So that makes me think that, yeah, they all right with it. They all right with letting it just slowly progress until it can just run over, run wild, run rampant again. And it look like it's heading that way for their motherfucking ass too. I'm just saying, Black America, you got some thinking to do. You got some serious thinking to do. And I don't know, call your pastor, tell his motherfucking ass, tell his ass to look at Dr. Ray Hagins. Ask his motherfucking ass, where is you supposed to go for the rest of your life, afterlife? Where? Ask him. Pastor, how we gonna be, all of us supposed to be together in heaven, and we supposed to be safe and calm, and we supposed to be one, and it ain't no harm, it ain't no hurt and no harm. And see what he tell you. Some old bullshit his ass pulled up out the Bible. But I want you to tell his ass, we got some new Bibles. We're reading some new Bibles now. See that right there? See? And you take him this book right here. Get this book. Y'all get these books for your personal library, because see, this is the turning point for us. We got to start learning and teaching our own stories to our own kids. You get that? So you let your pastor know right there. That's Willie Brown right there. That's Willie Brown. Those are his tormentors. All of their asses is in heaven. How the hell is that supposed to work? Ask your pastor. I ain't called my cousin yet, because he a pastor too. He a new pastor. I know, right? He a new pastor. He ain't been in there that long on thing. Well, honey, he need to go on and get out of there real quick and soon and stuff. I'm just saying, it's just beyond me. All of it is. I just can't hold it in. I don't want y'all to think that, I'm trying to incite you to be mad at white folks and hate white folks and nothing. Fuck white folks. Just get the fuck away from them. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to be mad at them. You ain't got to be evil and cruel with them and stuff, because I'm very respectful. My mama taught me how to be civil and respectful to folks. They might see the look on my face, but honey, I can keep right on going past their ass shit. Just don't touch me. I don't touch nobody no more. Don't touch me. Nope. You barely can look at me. Other than that and stuff, I can be civil with them and go on about my business. I don't have no dealings with them. I still work in society, because hell, we ain't really been having no business mindset since Tulsa, pretty much. So, I do work in society and stuff. I see white folks, and some white folks, I know them on site, and they know me on site and stuff, but that's as far as it goes. I might work with your ass, but hell, now it's mostly Mexicans that we working with, ain't it? But I digress. But I work with them and stuff, and I can pass them when I'm out shopping or just being outside and stuff. But that's as far as it go. I don't go home with them motherfuckers, and they don't come home with me. They sure don't. And if I got a friend and stuff, and she got white friends and stuff, and they over, oh, it's about time for me to go. Yeah, it's about time for me to go then. Because yeah, it's gonna be some shit up in here because I'm gonna get to talking about John Pendleton. I sure am, because that's who I am. I ain't finna sit up in here and talk with y'all motherfucking ass about Beyonce. What's that girl name? Taylor Swift and all that. Hell no. We finna sit up in this motherfucker and talk about Willie Brown. So, but that's me. Maybe that's not y'all. So I sure was looking for They Were Her Property so I can read it to your ass word for word how that little bitty white girl, 3 years old, had the power. They had the power to do that to grown women, whole bodies. Her nanny that used to take care of her ass, probably since she was a little infant. Now her little ass 3 years old. I guess they had a disagreement or something. And she was trying to tell the nanny that they were better. That slaves are the lowest of the low. That's why you're a slave and I'm your owner. Well, I guess Fanny, that was the slave name, Fanny. I guess Fanny must have told her, yeah, if you steal everything, if you kidnap and steal everything. But whatever Fanny said, the little girl got mad and went and told her daddy, cut off Fanny's ears and go get me a slave from the next county. 3 years old. That's the motherfucking sinner. Not no black babies. Not no black babies. No, you can't even wrap your mind around making a black baby a sinner to the level that white babies have been sinners. They done lied to you so motherfucking much. But I'm just saying, don't be a fool and a dummy. But let's get out of here. Because, yep, I'm finna go process this right here, honey. And it's 3 o'clock anyway. Well, I'll be. I ain't damned. I know that's for sure. But, yeah, let's get on up out of here. I know. Yeah, we better stick together. Sure better because, honey, motherfuckers is real slick with they sorry asses, honey. I'm about to the point where I'm about to let the ancestors know, come through and wipe a whole bunch of motherfuckers out. That way, we ain't got to pick over and get where we going and shit because the way going to be clear. Just like the Red Sea. Just come through and smite a whole bunch of motherfuckers and get them out of our goddamn way. But yeah, I don't want to do that. It is power in the tongue. It is. I sure be trying to hold mine, honey, because I tell my ancestors, oh, yeah, you better be ready. You sure better. Yeah, I try to hold the power in my tongue and stuff, because, honey, I'll tell them. I'll call them by name. I sure will. I call Khalid Muhammad by name. Somebody will come back, all face, what the hell you do? I was having nightmares all night last night. You better go process this. I know I am. Yeah, I don't want to hurt nobody with no thoughts and stuff. I want everybody to take the chance, this opportunity and do better for yourself. Do better for your family. Do better for your people. And for all intents and purposes, tell your people to right the wrong against my people. For all of y'all groups of people that's out there and stuff, more than we know what's done happened to us. And all their asses out there now. Everybody out there now. Hey, ain't nobody said a motherfucking thing about, well, hell, can we get some help for Black America? For all the motherfucking love. All they got to do is chant it at one time. Cut the check. But everybody still on Black people, please come out and help us. We need y'all. Where you at, Black people? Stuff. Where the fuck we gonna stay at? Because can't nobody be trusted. They can't be trusted. Sure can't. My ancestors. But I love y'all, my people. And you my people. I'm concerned about you, Black America, your life and your afterlife. See, I love you to life. I don't love you to death. I love you to life and afterlife. There's a difference. You better start loving us too.